Yes, sir.
At this time, we'll call the March 23rd Finance Committee meeting to order. The first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Second. Motion by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. McClendon. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second item is the approval of minutes from our December 15th Finance Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McClendon. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4, we're down to appointments. Our first appointment this morning is Ms. Erin Fan. Okay, did I say that right? All right. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Committee Chair Smallwood and members of the Finance Committee, as well as council members present this morning. My name is Erin Fan, and I'm currently serving as the interim president of Northeastern Technical College. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, as well as our Area Commission Chairman, Mr. Herbert H. Gould, as well as several of our members of our leadership team at the college. Northeastern Technical College plays a vital role in workforce development and economic growth in this region. Every day, the college is committed to training the workforce of Chesterfield, Marlboro, and Dillon counties per the mission of the college. We are preparing students for high-demand careers and creating opportunities for individuals and families in all of these communities. Currently, in our spring semester, we are serving right now 494 students from Chesterfield County, which represents approximately 36% of the college's total enrollment. So of the 494, 273 of those are traditional students and 221 are dual enrollment students. I also wanted to note that we are actively working with the Chesterfield County School District and Dr. Ballinger to evaluate future dual enrollment pathways to strengthen CTE offerings, so the career technical options with all of our high schools in Chesterfield County. So while we are in this period of transition, we are also in a period of focused and intentional improvement. So this includes strengthening our enrollment, aligning programs with workforce needs, and ensuring the long-term stability of Northeastern Technical College. We are making meaningful progress and committed to building a stronger, more responsive institution for our communities. So as we plan and look ahead, our partnership with Chesterfield County is essential. The request before you today is for fiscal year 26-27, and it is currently to support utility costs for our operations of the Sherrall and Pageland campuses. These numbers are based on prior year expenses, just so we have a good baseline of what we've been spending there. So these are necessary ongoing costs that ensure the facilities remain open and fully operational for our communities and our students. I also wanted to note that we are actively pursuing other funding opportunities through other local, state, and federal sources. So just a few weeks ago, we recently submitted a $600,000 appropriation request through Congressman Russell Fry's office for campus security enhancements. So we're really just trying to look to leverage multiple resources and as we are responsible stewards of public funding. So support at the county level allows us to focus the institutional resources on instruction, student success, as well as workforce training that can directly benefit Chesterfield County and our students. We value our partnership with the county and the shared commitment to expanding opportunity, supporting industry, and strengthening our workforce pipeline. I respectfully ask for your support of this request as an investment in the future of this county, as well as Northeastern Technical College, through our students, our workforce, and our economic strength. Thank you again for your time and consideration. My staff and I are happy to answer any questions at this time if they're allowed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. If you don't mind. Allergies are terrible. So I kind of briefly reviewed this already this morning. Actually spoke with a couple individuals about it, and I actually asked them if there was a way that we could possibly identify specific needs on specific campuses that may be more related to workforce development, related things that would be one-time expenditures that we could not focus on the utility side, and we may be able to look at some funding, and they said that they could do that to see if they could identify some of those things, and maybe that would benefit us from a financial perspective with utilizing economic development, workforce development funds instead of just a blanket. I think that would be a lot more approachable.
We can absolutely do that.
I think we collectively, Mr. Ford speaks, I think, on behalf of all of us, and that, well, I shouldn't say all of us, but I think the majority, that's what we said last year, that we would feel a lot more comfortable with, and I want to hold true to that, our promise that we would look at it, but
Yeah.
I think we need individual projects too.
Okay.
And we'll have we'll be setting up a second meeting for this to give y'all some time
Okay.
to,
Yeah.
but definitely, I mean, I'm definitely interested in trying to help.
Very good. We certainly have those specific needs, so we will be glad to put that together. Just communicate with you all when that meeting is, and
Yes,
look
ma'am.
forward to bringing that forward.
We will schedule that at the conclusion of this meeting today, make sure you're aware of it.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank
We
you all.
appreciate the effort that you all are making, relationship building and listening to us, and, all of us working together is how we're going to get more accomplished, so thank you.
Any further questions for Ms. Fan? Item 4B, Mr. Strickland.
Good morning, folks. Thanks for the opportunity. I won't be as long-winded as I was last time up here, but again, thank you all for the opportunity. I did send over a budget request for this coming fiscal year, and I really wanted to kind of give a broader view of what we're doing at PDRTA, and I thought this slide was really kind of what really would be able to showcase that, to show kind of what we have going on. But obviously, when I came, I talked about a lot of growth, the things that we're seeing across the system, needs here in Chesterfield County. To Councilman Ford's point, one thing that I want to focus on this coming fiscal year is the workforce development. About 6% of all of our ridership is going to and from work every day, and I want to be able to have, like we're doing in other counties, more dedicated workforce routes, picking folks up, taking them to work every day across the region. So whether that's going to the Walmart DC, Schaeffler, other industries that we have here, we want to be able to do that because we have great models in other areas that we're not deploying. So that part of the ask this year is to help us get that started, to be able to go and make sure that we are providing more of those type of services in Chesterfield County. But as you can see, total annual budget for PDRTA this year is about just over $10 million. As I shared, at the council meeting, roughly right now about 10% of PDRTA's local support is coming from municipalities. If you compare that to RTA's anywhere else, it's anywhere from 30 to 50%. Most of the time, that's due to vehicle registration fees or a referendum for transportation tax or capital sales tax. Obviously, we don't have any of those at play today. I do hope that we're able to look toward that in the future, because I do think that's how we'll be able to continue to grow and provide the much needed services that are out there. As I shared last month, about 80% of everyone that's using our services have no vehicle in their household whatsoever. So it's really a critical lifeline for so many people. If you look at the county requests, so the county is still going to be just north of the 10% for this year, but Florence County is $1,050,000. That's the request in this budget cycle. Darlington County is $125,000. Chesterfield County, we kind of phased it very similar to what we did last time with a 3-year. But that first year, because of where we were, the request is for $100,000 for this year, and that matches a $1.1 million budget, so technically less than 10%. If you'll move to the right, there are other municipalities right now in Chesterfield County is about $40,000. That's a combination of folks like Sherrall and Pageland and some other small ones at the table. Federal and state funds is $660,000 that we're able to bring to the table for that 1.1 million total budget. And then the big takeaway is the $300,000 on the right-hand side. That is our other local partners that we have here in Chesterfield County. So some of that, a portion of that, you know, Northeastern Technical College right here, we provide services for them, getting students to and from school. We've done workforce development with them, you know, working with other industries in the past. So that's part of that 300,000. You have folks like McLeod Hospital, Carolina Pines Hospital, Care South, just a number. I can sit here and name them all day, but that's where the 300,000 comes from. That number is tough to continue to grow, though. We've done a lot, working really hard, and that's how we're able to sustain what we have now. But to be able to do the things that we noted that we need, more demand response off of the fixed routes to reach these folks that truly need the services. There's a lot of folks, a lot of ADA, a lot of seniors in Chesterfield County, a lot of folks that are, you know, 70, 80 years old that have no access, they have no family. So we want to be able to make sure they have options to get to a grocery store, to get to their medical appointments. And that's why this is critical for us to be able to try to make sure we can continue moving in that direction. If you're going down the list, Marlboro County, 110,000, Dillon County, 120, Marion County, 110. So we're, you know, it's the same story across every county that we serve, 6 counties here in the PD area. And I just want to really kind of give you this so you would see it, because I know coming from where we were previously, I'm sure there was a little bit of a sticker shock. But I wanted to make you understand that, you know, the growth that we're hoping to be able to put in place and what's needed out there, this really is the budget that's going to take to sustain that. And I want to continue moving forward to make sure that we can get there. Obviously open to having conversations, whether it's a vehicle registration fee or other opportunities down the road, because I do think that's what, you know, whenever you might see 6 or 7 buses in Chesterfield County right now, the way we change that, it would be one of those methods. And the need is there. I know not everybody that's got 2 sets of car keys sees it every day, but I can guarantee you there's a lot of folks that are reliant and that don't have options. You know, folks that may be legally blind that can't drive. You know, it could be that those dialysis patients, the cancer center patients that we're taking every day from Chesterfield County, they don't have options. So that's really why I'm here, is to kind of fight for that, to make sure that we're not only sustaining where we are today, but we're able to grow some to be able to reach those folks that truly need the service. Happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. You stated that you in Chesterfield County, you have 6 to 7 buses running throughout the county?
Yes, sir. So between the demand response, the Pageland, the Sherrall, the Connect bus, that's right. And
Well,
then also McLeod, we send buses here every day to take folks to the campus.
The service is highly needed, and I know a lot of people use your services, and that's a blessing. Thank you for doing that. How much do the average driver make?
Right now, it depends on tenure. It's anywhere from $16 to $18.50 an hour starting out. We need to increase that, but that's where we're at today. Recently had to do an increase on our diesel techs, because across the board, that's been a really growing number. So in order to try to keep some folks, we've had to increase those
Yeah,
numbers
because
as well.
transit driver, that's a low salary right there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they need to be at 20, to be honest. If you think about that, they got, you know, anywhere from 10 to 20 lives in their hands on those
Right.
buses. So you should be able to earn more than what you earn at Chick-fil-A, in my opinion.
Right, because you go drive somewhere else and make $100,000. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
How many, other than the medical field, those partners, how many, let's say, industries, like true industries even, that are partners on that 300,000? And the reason why I'm asking that is to get a feel for how important the business owners feel that this transportation need is.
As of today, as far as like industry manufacturers, none. We have partners like Alpha Center, obviously Tech. There's a number of them, but medical is the predominant in Chesterfield County right now. I've been trying to tap into doing more. Like I've been requesting meetings over at the DC and Pageland many times, and I haven't been able to get in the door yet. And I'm hoping that can change as we move forward, because I'm talking with Schaefer just last week. They need to be able to get some groups moved around for their students. And so I'm obviously more than willing to come and have those conversations. You know, I've had previous conversations with Tucker Lumber, you know, places like that. But but I would love to be able to do more of that. There's definitely a need, and what places like Harbor Freight, what they found was that 80% of their employees don't need the service, but the vast majority of their turnover is in about a 20% population of their workforce. And if we can get reliable transportation to that anywhere from 10 to 20%, their turnover rates drop dramatically. And they're not having to constantly recruit because they're able to keep people there. So I want to have those conversations, do lunch and learns, getting there and have these conversations with people to be able to provide what we call demand response or door-to-door service. So these people, they may not have a vehicle in their household. We pick them up from their home and take them to work every day to make sure they can get there on time.
What would it look like? I mean, this is a $75,000 increase, if I'm not mistaken, from what we did last year.
That's correct.
So what would it look like if we didn't do a increase and we only did what we did last year? Or what would it look like if we didn't do anything?
As of today, if we did nothing and I couldn't grow the other local, I mean, obviously I'm fighting for that as well, kind of like Northeastern Tech, we have to. But if we did nothing, then there's a lot of opportunities being missed. There's federal funds on that left-hand side that will not come to Chesterfield County because we don't have enough local funds to be able to do it. If we're able to get here, there can be a combination
Matching
of.
funds.
Yes, sir. Everything we do on that county requests and other local matches those federal and state dollars. There's funds allocated to Chesterfield County. If we don't get there, like this past year, we left money on the table. Because I knew we had to show a proof of concept to start off with, because we were just getting back in Chesterfield County, although we've been running the Sherrall for quite some time. So I guess the short answer is we're going to provide more service. We're going to reach more people, especially in the rural areas outside. Not everybody lives on Highway 9, like they're off of the beaten path. They can't get to the fixed routes. So more demand response service, and then a real focus on the workforce side to make sure we can start leveraging that and get in with these industries. And then ideally, next year after that, the funding that comes to the county is going to be not even where it is today, because we're going to have more buy-in from those industries, because we're doing more service in Dillon County, but Harbor Freight's a big partner. Harbor Freight's doing over $100,000 a year in local commitment. So anything we get there will be able to help on the county's side of things as well.
What is the percentage rate for travel, medical to industry?
So our overall right now, about 60% is, when I look at the overall picture for us, 60%, 59 to 60 is workforce, 23% is medical. So 83% of our entire population base is either going to work or they're going to medical appointments. Chesterfield County is going to be a little bit different than that. Chesterfield County is probably about 40% workforce, and it's about 40% medical. So you do have retail. Obviously, we have Walmart. We have working all around Chesterfield County, but not to the level that some of the other counties are. And part of that reason is because we haven't developed the workforce routes. We haven't built going by places, but there's not a dedicated, what we call dedicated workforce routes that we have in other areas. Like in Florence, the PD Workforce Center, you got 9 or 10 major industries out there, so that number is going to push the overall average up, but we can do more of that in Chesterfield County.
So 60-40?
In Chesterfield County, it's about 40-40 between workforce and medical. I'd say about 8% of what we're doing is education, but the rest, majority of that right now is pretty much a split between medical and workforce.
So when's the last time that you met with anybody at industry, existing industry?
I dropped in the last time I was in Chesterfield, and I talked to economic development. That's been my avenue to try to get in with some industries, but there hadn't been a whole lot going on there. Like I'm telling you, if I could schedule 3 meetings next week, I'll be back up here. But it's hard for me as a transit provider, that's offices in Florence, to get in and have these meetings.
So you need help from us.
I do, and it's been, there was a time where economic development would have meetings here, and there'd be 10 industries in this room, and we could present and have those conversations. I think that happened one time in the past, 6 years. So more of that will be ideal, and then, I'm willing. I'll go at 11 o'clock at night and go do a lunch and learn with the second or third shift group to find out how we can better serve those people. So you let me know where I need to be, and I'll be there.
We'll help you figure that out.
Yeah, I don't think getting a meeting with our folks is going to be an issue at all. But I think that it would be very influential to me. I'm sure it would be to a lot of other people, that if you have an existing industry meeting that you presented at, and if they all look at you and say, we closing our checkbooks, we ain't giving you nothing, and that would set a tone for the way I would view it. But also, if they would turn around in return, say, hey, we're gonna put X amount of dollars into it, then that would also show us maybe we need to look at it a little bit harder too.
Some of our other projects that turned out great, we had an influx to get there, to get started. And then we showed them what was possible with just demand response. And once they saw that, when that checkbook came out. It's hard for those industries to write the check before they ever see anything. But, you know, it was a due grant. It started off, you know, one time we got a $100,000 grant. And now that's turned into $1 million project. So it is just getting started and letting them be able to see what's possible, what's that potential. Having the meetings, finding out, you know, meeting with their HR folks, finding out where their turnover issues are. And like I'm telling you, most of the time it's in just a small percentage of their employees. If somebody's got 500 employees, there's about 50 that's constantly turning over. And if you can get those 50 to work consistently, it's always transportation related why they get terminated, not always. 90% of the time, it's transportation related. So if we're able to fix that problem, then it changes everything for them. And then their turnover costs, you know, $6,000 to $10,000 per employee. That goes away, so then they're willing to reinvest that back into, partnerships like this.
That's why I asked the question, because I do remember when you came before, and it's been a very long time ago. And I just think like your Harbor Freight stories and your other investment stories where these industries have, you know, stepped up more. If you had that now going to them, not that they said no that day, that was a day full of a lot of information, and it really wasn't an ask that day. It was really more informational from my understanding, so.
I'll bring the GM of Harbor Freight to a meeting if it speaks to them hearing kind of what that looks like from their perspective, or Reese Foods or anybody else that we work with. I'll bring some of them with me, and I don't want it to be a competitive thing, but if they need to hear the story to understand what's possible, I'm certainly willing to do that.
I think it would be better for all of us to have more buy-in if we had that. You know, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with continuing the support that we give right now, but in order to give that much more, I think it would be great to have an opportunity with you and them and see if we can get more buy-in from business.
Well, and also to kind of set the tone a little bit, I can only speak for myself as this relates, but the way I view our budget right now, just so everybody knows, that I would like for finance to focus on getting our employees' salaries up, and I'm in no way interested in raising taxes if at all possible. So we're not gonna have a big pool of money to play with. So it may be something with any situation that we may just not have the extra funds to, you know, increase things or stuff like that. But I think that with us sitting in a position where we're fixing to look at having to build a jail, we're gonna really have to show the public that we have trimmed and trimmed and trimmed everywhere we can, even if we, you know, take some take-home vehicles or stuff like that away from our current employees now, just to make that happen. So I don't want to take home vehicles away and then splurge somewhere else. It's hard to justify. So I just don't want anybody to be taken off guard. That's only my opinion, so I can't speak for everybody else.
Well, I concur with you on that.
But knowing the challenges that you're facing getting in, and if we can help with that, then we certainly would want to do that.
And I guess the other thing is, there's federal and state dollars that can be allocated here. I mean, it's basically a 3-for-1. If possible, I don't want those to go to another county or go somewhere else. And I guess that is the one takeaway from it all. And if we don't land at this number, then wherever we land, the services will be contingent on that. You know, if we're able to double, you know, if we get 3/4 the way there, that will determine kind of where we land with conjunction with the other local funding.
Well, we'll certainly take a look at what we're able to do this year, but also, I'd like Ms. Anderson said, I think there's some things we can do to help you reach some of these industries that you're trying to reach out to.
Love to be a part of
We
that
can get you in
conversation.
front of, for sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any
Thank you.
questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. All right, we are down to line item 5. I know if there's anybody in here that's already presented, I know you guys may have something you'd rather do. Don't feel bad if you just guys want to ease out. That's, you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. We just want to give you the green light. Don't Don't feel like you have to sit there to not be rude.
We'll be here for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be here for a while.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Yep,
All right.
thank y'all.
Items submitted by staff. Chesterfield County Rural Water Company Pump Station, Ms. Stanley.
Okay, as everyone is aware, there was conversation at the last council meeting with Rural Water about their request to transfer like 6,000 square feet of land on our Highway 9. And at that time, you remember council deferred it to the Finance Committee to kind of discuss and get a game plan together to bring back to full council. But I just wanted to mention one more time, you know, to see if y'all remember, you know, y'all remember that the benefits of the pump station would offer, like the increase in the availability throughout Brock's Mill, maintain the high water quality, and then enhance the service of reliability and reduce service interruptions. So that's some of the good benefits that it would offer by being able to put that pump station there. In the meantime, since the meeting, Ms. Johnson had made contact with us, and they're willing to offer $17,000 for that section. So just wanted to go ahead and put that out there before y'all started, you know, discussing it. But I have spoken with the assessor's office also with the value of the land, if you know, y'all want to entertain that or what.
Is that a fair price?
Yes. That's a very fair price for that section.
That would be just that 6,000 square feet
Yes,
of
sir.
that corner lot.
And then she offered to come again to, if there was any more questions that you had, she was, you know, offered to come and speak to you if you had any more questions.
I know it kind of throws a kink in the hose. But on a side note, I had asked Michelle, you know, what our general use was for that property, and was it being utilized with the equity that we have in that property? Is it being utilized in the best way? And right now, we're only using that property for storage. And so let's just say if we got $150,000 in equity tied up in a piece of property that's just for storage, is there an alternative that we could do to have storage that wouldn't be costing us having that much sitting out there, and having a piece of property being used that nobody's paying property taxes on as well? And so I asked Michelle, it kind of brought up the conversation, what properties does the county have that we're not utilizing, and are we real estate heavy in areas that we could kind of combine some certain offices and move some people around to save some overhead as well? And, you know, just food for thought. If all we're doing is using that property for storage, my throwing it out the window just to see, I mean, if we could take $25,000 and go buy 5 40-foot shipping containers and put them on a piece of property that we already have, and each individual office that is using our facility for storage could have their own shipping container for storage, and we could, for $25,000, we could, I'm just saying that, for $25,000, we could accomplish the same thing, and we could relieve quite a bit of equity that we wouldn't have to worry about. And, you know, I think that would probably be a way to go to, you know, we could turn that property into something that would be productive on a tax base as well. I'm not against the pump station, but if we thought we would want to entertain that, I wouldn't want to sell the corner off of it. You know, that'd be cutting your nose off to spite your face, in my opinion. I think there's other properties on the table too that we could look at.
Is there any property on that list that we went through that I don't remember that is remotely close to that area? That's kind of a standalone?
Yeah. Just the industrial park down there, that's the only thing, and that's not even ours really, that's the town's.
Bigger piece of property.
It's 2 acres.
Yes.
2 acres.
It's a little over 2, I think.
And it's storage, but it's secured storage. It's, you know, fenced in and all that. To make sure.
It's exactly 1.5 acres.
1.5.
On Highway 9. We used to have a lot more real estate right before I came on, and that's why we're in this building that we're in now, because we had real estate here and there, and it was, like Ethan said, ridiculous of how much we're spending on rent or upkeep, maintenance. So we have consolidated within the last 20 years, but it might be time to revisit inventory and see what else, we have available. I know that like the old magistrate's office, there's some buildings that we probably do need to look at.
And then some of these state buildings that we have to, provide a house, or not a house, excuse me, provide a building, they have downsized their staff and all.
We actually walked and looked at the leftover space that we have down here at the
Health department.
health department building.
yeah.
And we have an enormous amount of space with offices and restrooms that is literally just doing nothing.
Just sitting there.
It's just sitting there.
Boxes and cubicles.
Like, we're paying overhead on, what's it,
Craig House.
on the Craig House, we're paying all this overhead to keep that open for 2 people.
Yeah.
Or, we got Clemson Extension in this other building up here that we got all that overhead in. We already heating and cooling this building down here. It's already fixing to have a brand-new parking lot. So if we could shift some of those over, and we could get rid of some of those properties that would lighten the load on us as well. I'm just thinking outside the box to try to do it. My idea is if we could do something with PD Coalition and Clemson Extension down here in these offices that we already have, we could relieve ourselves of those 2, and if we could do something different on the storage, that would possibly be a 3rd property that we wouldn't even need, that we could relieve quite a bit of burden and, get some money back in the coffers. But that's just a thought.
Very good thought.
What kind of storage is it? What are we storing? I think I know, but I just,
On Highway 9, the corners, they have a, section that's behind their lock and key. We've got the, building maintenance, they have got a lot of stuff done to the, like all of our units that we're getting and we've used for ARPA. They're storing those down there. The detention center, the sheriff's office has got, we have some. I don't know, I think the clerk of court actually has all theirs in the old veterans now, I'm pretty sure, and probate. But yeah, we got several different, departments that's got storage down there.
Michelle, this pump station, do you know how many houses it's gonna affect and what quality of life it's gonna give them?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna increase the water flow, and Julie, you know about how many?
Please. Yes, ma'am.
That whole Hillian Edwards area, y'all partnered with us and we got a CDBG grant. So we're providing now fire protection and water service to the whole Hillian Edwards Road. So I've got about 35 households that are benefiting from the water. And just so you know, if they're low to moderate income, they're not paying for anything as far as a tap fee or the connection to their house. And so also we've installed 13 fire hydrants on that road as part of the CDBG project. So the pump station allows us to more efficiently and better pump up to that area where the Brock's Mill tank is. Brock's Mill's way up here and pump station that we're asking for is down here. And we have some issues and some restrictions. So basically the whole right side of the county, all the way, as far as we go to Straw, there's some turkey farms or poultry farms out that way that really helps. And just moving the water more efficiently makes it better quality and more reliable as far as that area is concerned.
And how long have they been crying out for that?
I started at Rural Water 2.5 years ago, and I had 3 priority projects, and that was number 2. So they are actually our contractors installing, if you see that. And so we've already contributed about $350,000 to that area. A pump station and all, the appurtenances for that will be about another $200,000. So Rural Water will be spent $500,000 out there.
They've been requesting this for like 20 years.
Yes.
I'm aware of that before I come on the council.
No
That's why I
water.
asked the question.
They had, my understanding is during dry times that their wells would actually go
Yes.
dry out there and they would have no water.
So we're running that 6-inch line down Hillian Edwards to be able to provide those people water there.
In the
Everybody in
front
Chesterfield
corner.
County need to have good quality water. I'm in
Yes, sir.
support of that.
Yes, sir.
So do you have to have that front, explain to me again why we have to have the front corner and not, why you can't? Is there a building on the back corner? I'm not sure.
There's a building on the back corner.
Okay.
And also, that's, that's where all your Ts
Yeah.
and things are. And so the best piece of property when we were looking at, we'd known we needed a pump station for a while. I said, well, the county owns it. So this is great. We can partner with them. We can get the pump station done and be able to move that water the way we need to move it through the system. And like I explained at the board meeting, it's not just this area that benefits. It's almost like a domino effect. Okay, now we're more efficiently moving the water this side. Okay, now we're taking the pressure off the center. Now we're taking the pressure off of the other side too. It is, any improvement we do takes pressure off the other parts of the system. So it's an efficiency thing.
So basically, it would
everybody.
improve from the pump station east.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
far as
Really to the
Chester Water.
northeast, because you can pump up and then go that way. We have some smaller lines feeding that area, and it would be millions of dollars to upgrade those lines. So this is the most economical, efficient way to do that.
Again, how many residents you said that it will be beneficiary to?
I'm not sure how many actually live, that side. Whose area district is that there? Brock's Mill to the right, okay.
Well, it would
So
benefit
it
all
would
of Brock's.
benefit all that area. That's correct.
Well, it would affect all the way out into the cash area and everything, wouldn't it?
That would go to like 52.
Just from a relief of pressure.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like you said, it relieves everything, back to the side. So even the center will not have to pump as hard to get that water where it needs
Let
to.
me ask you one more question. Assume that we approve this, how long would it take for that to be put in place?
They're working on some plans now. I would say the issue right now in the water industry, and maybe in your industries too, is the materials. You order the materials and they say they'll be here in 8 weeks. I have a valve that needs to be inserted on Highway 1 down in the cache area, and they keep telling me 4 weeks. Well, they told me that 3 weeks ago. Now they tell me that again, 4 weeks. It's materials. So I would hope in the next 12 months it could be completed.
That's reasonable.
But I can't, listen, I've made a lot of promises out there.
I understand.
The materials are really the issue. We have a hard time getting water meters, saddles. I just don't understand it anymore. It just doesn't even make sense. So I wouldn't make a promise. But our anticipation is the next 12 to 18 months to have that completed. So,
I'd like to say thank you for coming back with a monetary offer for the property. I think that is a huge bonus, and I think the project seems to be ideal as far as that goes.
Right.
My only holdup would be is just thinking it through to make sure that the county's property interest is the right decision. But I'm not saying that it's a bad idea.
right. And the reason I did that is because I want y'all to understand how important the pump station is. It's not just, oh, we need a pump station.
Yep.
Here's some land the county owns. It really is the most prime location for us to put that pump station and be able to pump that water in that area.
Sure.
I think Mr. Kirkley had a question. I'm trying
Sure.
to. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I was just letting everybody get done. Question I have, so the water lines are already in place and the taps?
The taps have not been installed on Hillian Edwards Road yet. That's the next step for our contractor, but it's under contract.
So has the fire hydrants been installed?
They are installed, but there's no water on them. There's no water in the lines yet.
Okay, now this pump station, would it improve and I'm assuming it will, and it's probably crazy for me to ask, if you don't get this pump station, what would be the flow to those hydrants?
You're asking a question I'm not sure I know the answer to, but ultimately, if that line was calling for additional water, this is the way to get it there, through the pump station.
Right, and the route I'm going is that this pump station would allow more water flow to the hydrants for fire protection and maybe also ISO ratings to be decreased in that area?
Possible, definitely provide the water more reliably to the fire hydrants, that's correct.
The pump station will allow, if I may say, Kirk, the pump station will allow the proper pressure to cause the water to flow through. That's the purpose of the pump station. You give the pressure for the water to flow.
Right, that's
Without the pump station, you're gonna have inadequate flow of water, which will create other problems that you don't want to have.
Right, especially in the dry times, and we're already hot and dry currently, and so obviously that's always a concern for us is being able to move the water where we need to move it when people need it. And those, do y'all know if they're turkey farms or poultry farms out there? When it gets hot, they start misting.
Just think of a fuel pump in your car.
That's right.
Fuel pump is clogged or whatever case may be, you're not gonna hit the accelerator, you're not gonna go anywhere.
That's right.
The water could be the same.
That's right.
I was always told the crazy question is the question that you don't ask. Like Mr. Kirk. The funds that you all are using to purchase this property, is it coming from you all, or is it coming from some type of grant?
It's coming from us. These will be internal funds. You know, we're really not eligible for grants unless we partner with the county. So the CDBG project is with the county. We've just applied for a Rural Infrastructure Authority grant also to do some upgrades on the other side of the county. And so anything like this is internal funds. And actually that pump station will be internal funds also. The maximum we could get for the CDBG grant was $1 million, and our contract came in at about 1.2. And then they never pay for engineering, so we are incurring all that cost. So like I said, we'll have about $500,000 out there if we can get the two projects. The one project's obviously gonna be completed if we can get this completed.
So it sounds like this is a need.
This is definitely a need.
It is.
Yes, sir.
And what is the county, because we do use that for storage, so there's all that fencing. I guess you guys would also need your section.
We would need 24-hour access, and so we would actually make an entrance there at Hillian Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all would have your own access and
Yes,
everything?
sir. Yes, sir.
More questions?
One small one. So when you put the station in, you reinstall like our fence too? Around to keep ours completely enclosed?
Yes,
too?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
And y'all
Yes,
handle,
sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
I didn't know.
and y'all handle all the survey and all the technical aspects of putting that in?
We will,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's an area we hadn't been previously using, but I guess we have a lot of other considerations to make, but.
Well, thank y'all for your
Thank
consideration,
you.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5B, surplus property proposal, Ms. Stanley.
Okay, Mr. Kearns had contacted me, you may see the email in your agenda. Just to give you a little bit of history, back in 2000, First Health had purchased a gator with some grant money. Well, since then, it's being passed around to the different squads, and we haven't spent any money on the upkeep, the maintenance, or anything. You know, I think there's some maintenance that hasn't been done to it. But at this time, they were requesting, it's at Jefferson right now, at this time, they were requesting for us to donate this gator to the rescue squads. And then if we ever, he made a mention that if we ever needed it, we were more than welcome to use it. But they just wanted to know if we would just go ahead and donate it to them.
So First Health purchased it.
Yeah, on a grant. And see, whenever they left, they just left it with the next EMS. So it's just been passed along.
What are they actively using it for?
Well, we're not using it at all. We pretty much have never really used it. The rescue squads have used it. And I don't even know what all they would use it for, you know, like if they would use it at,
Various stations.
yes, yeah, and then like if they had any trainer or anything like that, you guys. And so, but we haven't had any upkeep on it, any maintenance or anything.
So basically, if they needed it, they would trailer it from, like, it's
It's-
in
well,
Jefferson
it's at- yes.
to Sherrall or wherever necessary to get
Yeah.
back into woods. Okay. So the county has no
We really
expense in
have
it
no
whatsoever.
ties to
Yeah.
it, yeah. It's just our, service to EMS had gotten it on a grant. And instead of taking it with them, which I'm pretty sure they were required to leave it.
Right.
You know, with the next, company.
So we've got no expense, we've got no ties to it?
No, sir.
So
No,
this is
sir.
just a formality on paper? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions?
Kip made it very clear. Allow you to get the bodies that you, other vehicle can't get to.
So I guess that we would need to make a motion to take it to full council. We can't just surplus it ourselves, right?
You want to go ahead and do that? Do we have a motion? Just go ahead.
I motion that we take the, Deer Gator, to full council for approval to be used at whatever has been requested to be used for.
One discussion, real quick.
Do we need to second this first, or ask for a second before we discuss it?
Any discussion?
Those departments are individual entities, correct? So with him making the request, who is he saying is gonna have ownership of it? Because you can't just say we're giving it to all the rescue squads, because they're all individual entities.
I think this is for the service, the contract services.
Yeah,
who we're
but-
talking
and then
about. It's
they
not the
want,
volunteers.
yeah, and I think that they want to house it or use it at all the different, because right now it's at Jefferson's, at Jefferson Rescue.
Mr. Kip has his hand up.
And I guess since Clay is like over all the rescues, that's why he, you know, he brought it to us.
Reason why I say that, because dealing with individual rescue squads, we got a lot of groups of people with strong opinions and egos, and we need to be clear about who we're giving this to, because
Well, and,
it can get into, well, why'd y'all give it to this one? Why'd y'all give it to
Well-
that one if we don't know?
and I could see that, you know, I would recommend for council to say, you know, we will surplus this and donate it to you with, you know, the agreement that it is gonna be equal to all rescue squads and not just one or two, you know.
Would this be the same as the fuel truck that the
Fire department,
Chiefs Associations have?
pretty much it would be about the same aspect.
I guess my question is, like, the thought process behind it. What is the difference if we say we're giving it to somebody versus everybody getting to use it now? What's the goal? Like, what, if it's the counties right now, then they should all be sharing it anyway. So, but, like, what's the
So why motion on it then?
what's the goal? You know what I mean? What are we trying to accomplish?
I mean, because I understand what you're saying, because you know, they've been using it all along anyway.
Right. Except, you know, in creating a problem with what Councilman Ford said, you know, it may be better to leave it like it is and give everybody access to use it when they need to use it, and that way you'll cut down. My just thinking on the ability of somebody saying, why did they do that? Why didn't they give it to us? So that's certainly good.
And it can be housed at emergency services, like Chad Everett's building. But the other thing is, for council to consider, we could sell it and sell it to the highest bidder and not have to deal with any of the favoritism.
Yeah, and
What if they need it? What if
I wouldn't sell it.
what if somebody would need it, you know? That's just my thinking.
it just makes me question what the end goal is, what the intent is of, you know, the reason why it's important to make a change now.
'Cause
Like,
they-
is somebody saying that we should be able to get it, but Jefferson's keeping it housed there and we can't
Right.
get it, or what's behind? And it may be a logical explanation that we just don't know.
And I'll go back and ask some questions and then have them for you at the next council meeting.
Well, Kip, let me ask you this. Why, why couldn't it be up on the corner control? Cause you all gonna be the one to go to that body.
No, they could use it for squads.
Okay.
And most fire departments, they all have their own buggies like this as well to do the same thing. So it's not the only one in the county.
I figured that's who was asking for us to give it to them.
Correct.
They have several.
There are places in this county that you can't get there from here. And, to have equipment available is very important. You, one consideration is probably looking at the county and see strategically where your county-owned equipment is to make that best decision on where that needs to be placed. So the question is, who's had the authority? That's where we at right now. Who had the authority of that? So do we need to make a motion on that?
I mean, in my mind, since it was purchased with a grant, it really belongs to Lifeguard, in my mind, because that's who got the grant was,
Their
know,
predecessor.
predecessor.
Yeah. And see, that's where I was confused when you said First Health bought it with a grant. They left it, I thought they left it from Lifeguard.
Yeah.
Lifeguard was the one asking
somehow or
for it.
another it's gotten in the rescue squad's hands.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were asking. I thought the rescue was the contract service that was requesting ownership of it, which,
I make a motion, or you might have to call his motion down.
Yeah, I withdraw that motion.
Dead.
all right, and-
I'll make a motion that before we take any more stuff on it, that the administrator get some more clarification on who owns it, who's wanting to use it, and the intent behind what's gonna make a difference if we make a decision or not. Don't need it in a motion.
Yep, so we'll just,
All right,
he
good deal.
withdrew his, we'll wait for further information before making a final
great.
decision on that. Now, the new business, we've been going for about 55 minutes. Anybody need a bathroom break?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take about 5 and get started then. Item 6, new business.
Okay, we want to start.
Ma'am. Oh, so he got us going.
I
Yeah.
need to ask Coleman.
26, 27 general fund budget review, first draft. Ms. Stanley, take it away.
Okay. Everybody got a copy of the first draft. It's in the yellow. And then, of course, the blue is all the departmental requests. I always make council a copy of that.
Okay.
And if
But
you'll
that
just,
stuff's highlighted in the yellow copy too, though, isn't it?
yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
And like you see on the cover, I don't know for sure yet what people's decision is going to be on the insurance. But so, I call this my worst case scenario. So I've
Okay.
put in a 3% insurance increase. So if they come back and say they're not, now I do know that the state employees, that they are not increasing their health insurance. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they won't require an increase on ours. So if they don't, then that 3% will come back off. And then, like I always put in, the footnotes written in red are mostly the departmental requests. I try to, so you won't have to look through all these books, I try to put a summary in there for you to kind of look at that.
Okay.
The footnotes that's written in black is changes that Heather and I have looked at that needs to be increased, stuff like, utilities, and just like, this past year was a kind of we didn't know on the coroner's office, how his utilities and stuff, so we had to make sure and do adjustments there. And then we're looking at a definite mill value. Currently, I'm estimating it at $149,792, the value of one meal. Last year, it was $143,000. And of course, that's going to go up. We're still waiting on the population part of it. But there was a couple increases that council was, kind of wanting us to look at. And there was two departments that we were looking at, was the telecommunicators doing a 10% versus a 4% COLA increase. Now, the 4% is incorporated in here, a cost of living across the board. So if y'all chose to do a 10% versus a 4% on the telecommunicators, we would have to include an additional $32,000. Then we also was looking at trying to get public works salaries in more alignment with DOT. And so that would be an additional $87,000. But I know we kind of wait to look at salaries kind of last, but I just wanted to go ahead and incorporate that in there.
So those numbers that you just went through are incorporated here, correct?
Yeah, not in addition, if we went to 10%, we would have to add those in.
But this is covering the 4.
Yes, sir. So if we want to, we can just go ahead and, I would just go ahead and skip over the revenues and let's go ahead and go to the expenses.
What page?
It's going to be on page 9.
Page 9.
Now, this is pretty much pass-throughs. I just wanted to just point out to you, Sherrall Fire, they have a contract with us, and they're actually redoing their contract. They do it every 2 years. So that's why I've got that highlighted in yellow. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. And on page 10, on the road maintenance, we should receive a little bit more money this year on road maintenance because the auditor's office had discovered an error. And this also affects the fire fees and the solid waste fee. On some of these property or some of these tax bills that is exemption, like the homestead, not the homestead, I'm sorry, the disabled, veterans, some of the, I'm trying to think, I just went blank. All the ones that's exempt from property taxes, they were also being exempted from the fees. But see, by state statute, if there's an exemption on a tax bill, it doesn't affect the fees, it's just the property taxes. And I asked Mr. Jackson, I said, will you please make sure that is right? But, so he talked to Association of Counties. I gave him Owen's name to talk to. I said, he's a good one that talk to Association of Counties. And then they also called other counties. But any of these, like the veterans, they're survivors. There was a lady, that's how they called it, because a lady had called in and she was talking about it. And she didn't have she told me, she said that she didn't have a bill on her vehicles, and I'm like, no, you should have a tax bill because, for your road fee. And so sure enough, when I went to Dollar's office, it hadn't been doing that. And then they got to researching it. So I told Mr. Jack, I said, that not only affects the road fee, the fire fee, and the solid waste. So that's gonna be a little bit more money that we think that's gonna come in. So just to give you a heads up on that. On page 11, now this is all the different non-departmental. The first one, if you see it's in black, is the $2,000 because this is the first full year of Judge Ruffner's expenses. So we had to increase $2,000 on that. Now, the next one is the solicitor's office. And I'll go ahead and cover the solicitor and the public defender at the same time because they're basically asking for the same thing. You know, this current year we're in, the solicitor's office, we funded one attorney and then another half of attorney from January to June.
Right.
The public defender, we funded one attorney. Well, this year they're asking us, one, to take it out of our budget, because right now I've got it in the administration budget, take it out of ours, put it in their reoccurring fund, which means it's theirs and you cannot decrease it ever again if you move it from ours and put it in the reoccurring. And then they're also requesting 2 full attorneys and a COLA increase on top of that. So both of them want 2.
So the solicitor's office is asking that we go ahead and take the one that was half a year, make them full next
Yes,
year,
sir.
and then transfer both over?
Yes. And a
And the
COLA.
public defender wants an additional.
So the solicitor would be $350,000. And then the public defender will be like 329, almost 330,000.
They asking for a lot. Have anybody, Ethan, have you spoke to them about this? Smallwood?
So what they're asking for is, so last year, we increased the solicitor's office budget by 1.5 prosecutors. And then, we did 1 prosecutor for the public defender's office. Now, they're asking us to change it from where we spent the money on our budget. They're wanting us to put it on their budget, and the reason behind that is state statute says if we ever give them that money one time, we can never decrease it.
Okay.
So they're wanting us to give it to them so we can never decrease it. But it seems more favorable, that we use them as, these extras as county employees. Because if you give it to them and they decide they don't wanna pull their own weight, then there's no
We stuck with it.
recourse.
Gotcha.
Well, and if they decided to change personnel,
Yeah.
numbers, things like that, doesn't matter if it's going to, that money still goes to them, whether they use it for salaries at that point or not.
Right.
I don't think we're looking in any way to pull that money back from them. I think we're getting from the solicitor's office what we were looking to get. And it wasn't really a part-time position we funded last year. It was just half the year, right, to give him time to get it up to 2. We fully intended, if this does what we anticipated it doing, them getting those 2 this year. I agree with Mr. Ford. I think we need to keep it on our side, under the administrative side.
Okay.
I think the biggest question for those 2 things, we intended on funding the 2 positions with the solicitor's office. I believe personally we're getting what we were asking for. But I hope we continue to do so. I think the biggest question out of this to me is, do we want to add that second public defender? I mean, I don't know.
See a need for it?
I don't know. The solicitor's office touches every case that runs through there. The public defender does not. That doesn't mean he doesn't need help. I guess that's the question we need to ask.
My personal opinion is, I don't think that we should add a second public defender on there just yet. I think that, things are working in a much better direction. And I do think on the solicitor's office side, that we are getting, for the most part, what we asked for. We asked for a trial, to be in front of a jury every term of court, and so far we have had that. A lot of them have pled, but I think that's what we asked, and I think that's what we're getting. The numbers may not be exactly what we want, but, you know,
It's moving in the right
it's moving in
direction.
the right direction. I think we've already got budgeted for 2 solicitors and 1 public defender, and I think we should stick with that. That's my personal opinion.
And I've talked to Sherry with the solicitor's office, and she is starting to send me a monthly report. and I'm in turn gonna send it to you all. She sent me one for January, but she had to make some changes to it, so I didn't send it out. But she's gonna make those changes and we'll get it out. But, so I'm gonna try, so that's one way that I can keep y'all in contact and keep y'all up to date on it, is to get that from her.
And I also don't believe that we should put it over in recurring. I don't think that's even a conversation.
I agree.
Great.
I think we can all agree on that part.
Sounds good.
Anybody else on council have a input on that?
I agree.
Do what?
So,
I said, I agree.
yep. So in all essence, the only thing we're increasing would be like $75,000, and with that COLA increase on top of that, because
Yeah.
we had funded everything other than that.
Because we
So
funded 1.5.
just to-
Right.
Yes,
Right.
so just to
We
give you a
continue.
mind, yeah, that's the only thing. that
And
you-
we said we're gonna do that anyway. Okay?
I would like a little more information before we actually consider adding another public defender. I mean, I'd want to know how is it bottlenecking the system? I mean, I think we can have that conversation next year if we need to.
And this current year, could I not, start getting some stuff from detention center, somewhere they sign in, because don't they have to sign in and go to, just to see, get me some history, you
Yeah,
know?
I told Michelle, I personally think I mean, we're looking at the numbers. We know how many they have every day, you know,
Right.
and I will say the solicitor's been good about calling me or messaging and say, hey, we have a trial this week, our numbers might be a little bit higher, but this is what we're doing, this is the plan, and so I do think that they're paying attention to that. I think that there's opportunity at the detention center, and I know that this is not my lane, however, if you look at those numbers, and we're hearing that there are X number of inmates that need to have mental health services, but yeah, there's nobody following up on any of it. We're just trying to figure out how we can help and make sure that we're looking at the numbers, but we can also see who's in there and how many they're seeing.
And one good thing I just thought about, that the trial last week, they had a backup plan. That if they would've got done with that one, they were gonna pull in the one with the dog case or those four. So they actually had a backup plan. Hey, if we get done with this one in enough time.
As they should.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that was
you
good.
gotta be ready.
Every
Yeah,
session,
so-
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, we're finally starting to see it come together logistically
Yeah.
to be able to facilitate that, to be more productive. And I appreciate that.
As do I. Yep. And I think it's absolutely funding the changes we made,
Yeah.
so.
So, the next one, of course, is our ambulance service. That goes up every year, like 3%, so that's why I've got that in there. And then, there's only 2 fire departments that actually pay or get their insurance through with the county policy. It's no cost to us because they send us the money. But Sand Hills, this past year, they're getting their own policy, so they pulling out. So basically, now we only have Patrick. So that's the reason I've decreased that one.
But that was passed through.
That's correct. That is a pass-through. You'll see on the revenue side where I've decreased it there also. Okay, and then, of course, our insurance, I've got that because of the projected for the other to go up. Now, the next item is the PDRT, the 100,000 that we're requesting for that.
He came in very strong on that request. When that last meeting, I thought he was gonna come in about 15, 20,000. You want $100,000 off the bat?
25 last year.
It was 25. Yeah, that's a,
Now, just to give you more info, what he sent me was, and it's actually, so you need to know this, what he proposed is 100,000 for the year 1, 110 for year 2, and 120 for year 3. And at first, I thought that the 100,000 was like, you hear him talk about the local, but I just wanted to call and make sure that I was understanding right when Heather and I were working on this. But he said no, that was what he was requesting for the county. And I actually talked to Ms. Hattie, and she may could, have some input on this.
I was a little taken back when I saw the 100, 110, the increase like that too. But I go to those meetings every month, and I know the costs are going up. And I think by changing from having a route from Chesterfield going down number 9 to Pageland and doing more demand response, it's actually gonna be more beneficial to the citizens of Chesterfield County. Sometimes you have people can't get to number 9.
Right.
And you need to go to those homes. So if you're gonna do that, it's gonna increase the cost, but it's also gonna increase the participation. I think 100,000 is, in my opinion, a little bit of a reach. But that's what you ask. You don't always get what you ask, to be honest.
What would be a good number for you, just based off of what you know? 75, 50?
I would say more in the 50 to 75, to me. But I'm not in the day-to-day operation.
Yes, ma'am.
We were talking, is there any way, I don't know this, I mean, we're just talking, but is there any way to take some of the money, you know, for tech, if there's a way to partner with tech and PDRTA and take some of the money that we would be collecting? I don't know, we were just trying to think about creatively, how could we use some economic development if it's for workforce?
Well,
Now, like, the on-demand would not be that, but is there a way to tie those in together?
and that's kind of what where I was getting at with Don,
Yeah.
was if there was a push for the workforce development side and the existing industry side, that this promoted those, that would be money that could possibly come from that pot, that there is some extra money there that wouldn't just be on the county budget.
Right.
You know, but that would be how I would look at it. I'm not saying it's not a service that is a great thing. I think it can be, and I think it is. It's just hard for me to see it come out of the general fund,
Yeah,
that much.
When there's other ways to get there.
yeah, just like if you wanted to, you know, we've already got 20 in there. If you wanted to fund the 20 and then like 30 out of economic development, you know?
And then assist them with existing industry meetings and helping him get past the front desk where he's trying to get to.
And then we could, because I made, when he was talking, I made myself a note to talk to Libby about trying to get a meeting together at her office to get some industries and stuff, you know, in there, see if they would contribute and help make up that additional.
Well, and if we did that, if we set up a meeting with Libby and existing industry to have a meeting with the industry folks, let's do a match with them. If it means something to them to have transportation for potential employees, if they're willing to bring 25 extra to the table, then let's take 25 out of the existing industry economic development to match whatever they bring to the table. And if they say we're not putting anything in, then it's probably not worth its weight.
What about us tabling it at this meeting and then let me talk to Libby and see what we can get together? Do y'all want to do that? Table this request?
Oh,
And just see?
I think that we need to have more discussion about it for sure.
We'll just bring that
I
to the
think-
next meeting.
I do want to say that I think there's a value to it, even if existing industry doesn't really jump in. There's enough medical and people that can't get there that we gotta look at it. I don't know how much that number is. But I think the more information we can have, we make that decision, the better off we are. And I don't see it as something that our existing industry in this county wouldn't want to support on some level. I mean, they get it, they did it, because turnover is expensive, and if you can help reduce that even slightly,
Yeah, his Harbor Freight story is quite impressive.
and it's very accurate, I'm sure.
It is.
I mean, so-
It's needed. Ms. Burns at the meeting, she said 50,000 ought to be where we started.
Well, I just wonder if NETC funds any of it. You know, I may email Erin and ask her.
Sounded like it, and I think, you know, I think they're working on some things maybe with that, from what he said.
I mean, from the healthcare side of it, if I was in the healthcare industry, of course I would support getting people to and from my facility, because that's how I get my funds, is by seeing patients. So that's why I was asking him, you know, how many of it is folks going to work versus folks going to something that generates revenue for the medical industry. They can say we're providing services, but at the end of the day, they're getting people there as well to fund their finances.
And they're paying good too, from what he said. I
Yeah.
haven't seen those numbers. I mean, I know McLeod, but I think that they're doing their share.
That's right.
And I think that there's definitely opportunity for industry.
And then you know, when you're looking at these comparisons with these other towns or municipalities or whatever, Chesterfield County is unique. We have a lot of people in Chesterfield County that do require these medical services. And so
Yes.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's so big and spread
Well,
out.
the geography of our county is challenging.
It is.
And it's gonna get worse because people are living longer. Those are the facts.
Gas keep going up, there's gonna be a lot of people riding the bus.
That's right.
I'm gonna get me a moped.
I'm gonna be looking for the bus stop.
Okay, and if you see on the very bottom, St. David Cemetery, they've requested the last couple of years if there was any donations that, you know, the county could provide to them. So I don't never leave it out. I always put it in, you know, with the, but I know in the past, we've always felt like if we start with one, that we're gonna have, we have more to come in.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next, let's see, on page 14, Christie had contacted me and said that she's gonna have a death penalty in February, that they're, got it on the docket. And she's requesting $40,000 for that line item to cover that. And then I started questioning, because I know when we done it before, I had to increase it like 80,000. But this time, it's not like the last time. They're not actually having to house them, you know, because at that, whenever they had that other one, we were gonna have to house them 24/7, feed them and everything. But she said that it would not be like that for this one. So she said that $40,000 should cover it.
Well, she had it in her budget before, and she cut her budget. He cut that out of the budget. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that it has been in there before, and then it was, you know, said that the budget had been cut by this amount, then we discovered what that
Then
line
it-
item was, and there are no guarantees that you're gonna have a likelihood of having a death penalty trial every year is very slim, so I can understand why she would think that could be decreased, but that has been in her budget before.
That's whenever, the last year Wanda was here.
Is this another one of those gas line items?
You're gonna have to
that
do
you're
it no
gonna pay
matter what.
Regardless? So do you put it in there, or do you just know that we're gonna have to pay it regardless, and we keep it in the back of our mind on?
Whenever it comes and you see that line item way over budget, you know why.
I think that's the way we go, personally. May or may not have that trial.
And it wouldn't be misleading.
That's where I'm saying. Because you put it in and then it's cut out and then it looks like, you know, whether that's her intention or not, but it looks like, oh, that department's doing great, they cut their budget. Well, no, they just cut an expense that they didn't need this year, but they might need it later. So I just feel like the optics of that would be better for us to know going in, this might go over and this might be the amount. And I'm thankful that it's 40 and not 200.
Yeah.
It'll go up on the miscellaneous.
It'll just go, that existing line item,
Okay.
it'll just go over, and we'll make up for it in the, reserves. So, but as long as Michelle knows, it's good that we know it's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. And see, whenever Heather looks at it every month, she'll see that this, oh, why is this line item over? And she'll know, you know, exactly why it's over budget.
But you're saying that's for next February? It's for a whole year out?
Yep. So you never know. I mean, they may play, you may not never go.
All right, so we're just gonna leave that and pay it if we
I
need
would-
it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it off. Okay, so let's go to page 17. And I figured the ones that's in black, y'all don't really want to revisit all that. You know, Heather and I have already looked at that.
No.
Okay, so on page 17 is the magistrate's office. The senator has talked to him, and they're requesting for another full-time magistrate instead of a part-time, because we got part-time budgeted, a salary for part-time budget. So they're requesting for a full-time one. And then also he's requesting, he's had a part-time clerk that left and went to another department. He's requesting for that part-time slot to become a full-time also. So if you look, so it will be $43,000 salary and fringe for the magistrate, and then $39,273 for the clerk.
So that's 3.5, 3 full-time, 1.5.
No, it'd be 4 full-time. Let's see, he's got And then it'd be, let's see, it's got him, hold on, him, and then, yeah,
It'll be,
before and one part-time,
4,
and one part-time.
yeah,
Because
No,
he's got,
yeah.
him and Judge Lear, and then he's gotten another one, and then, yes, so then it'd be the fourth one.
Is Vivian Patrick full-time or part-time?
So I, no, she's part-time, yeah. Right now, she's working she's working like a full-time one, but once he gets fully staffed, she'll go back to part-time. But yeah, she's part-time, because he did have two part-time.
Full-times and one part-time.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's the fourth full-time?
That's what he's requesting.
Oh, he wants another.
Yes, yes.
Oh, how many are we allowed by the state?
So is it four full-time?
I think we've already met our limit at 3
So
and a
it-
half.
Okay, so it's,
I thought, I was of the understanding that we could have like a certain number of full-time, a certain number of part-time, and rather than having 3 part-time, we were gonna have
Let's see.
an additional full-time, part-time, and the other 2
Yeah.
full-times.
so is
Then
it
3.5.
6? I'm trying to think, is it, because the part-time is a fourth. So how many, I got it written down in my office, I can check.
Yeah,
If we
you
want
check
to,
that.
just leave this off. And then I'll check in
3
my,
and a half.
3.5.
yeah, right now it's 3.5.
4 and a half plus a clerk.
And I think by state statute, we would be over at that. I mean, I
So is it 3 full-time and 2 part-time?
think so, but I mean.
I was wondering if it was 4 full-time and then 2 part-time.
Definitely need a clerk.
Well, I know that Judge Patrick and John Davis are inundated and working. I know Judge Davis is running wild right now.
Yeah.
And they need some help. But it's hard to go from being 2 people understaffed to asking to fill those 2 spots and get extra. I mean, I think that if they could run it for a year fully staffed, then we revisit it next year, it would make more sense. But that's just my thought.
I was gonna see if I could get an answer from him before we get out of here.
Problem is I can't be mad at any department head for fighting for more and more and more. Like, that's, I can't be mad at them for that at all, but at the end of the day, I guess
pay for it.
we're the only thing between them and the taxpayer to make it happen.
Now, the secretary, they definitely need a full-time secretary.
And he has a part-time slot, but he wanted to make it full-time.
So how many of those does he have now?
He's got 2 full-time and a part-time, so it'd be 3 full-time.
Secretary.
Yes, sir.
That takes the workload off of them. You gotta have a secretary.
Well, they have 2
So
and
that
a
would take
half.
from 2.5 to 3, right?
Oh, no,
Yeah, they already
They
got
have
2.
2.5
Yeah, they
right
got-
now, so they're asking for that half to be a whole, so
A
they would have
full-time.
3. Which is essentially, I mean, not this, but if you think about it, that's almost like 1 per magistrate, and then they could split the person who's half. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do their cases, but
They got two full-time, that ought to be enough.
2 full-time and one part-time.
I know part-time, if 4 makes 1. I've got it in my office in a
I'd like
file.
to see it fully staffed.
With 3 full-time.
Before we give more. That's just me.
Oh, you know what, keep the secretary like they are doing that.
Okay, so the other,
I've got it.
okay, you got it?
We are, maximum allowable magistrates is 3.5, so we could not do a 4 full-time.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
thought.
that's what you said.
Yeah. I thought that it was either 2 full-time and 3 part-times, or 3 full-time and 1 part-time, but.
We could do 2 part-times, under 3.5.
Okay,
We could do 3 full-time and 2 part-time, that's the max.
I gotcha. Okay.
You definitely don't need a 3rd full-time secretary then. You got 2 full-time and a half. More than enough for 3.
Or like Ethan said, let's get in there and see, because these 2 new magistrates might get in and get busy and they might need
Right.
more, but let's really,
Let's see.
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, all right, so we're gonna
Okay.
scratch that for this minute. Right.
I mean, I'm not on the committee, that's y'all.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I feel that's where we are.
I can keep my mouth shut down here.
Ms. Burns, what you think?
That was more information.
This is information too, but, I just don't see just giving, just because they're asking. If they're not fully staffed, get them up to where they need to be.
Right.
And leave it there.
Agreed.
And then we'll look at it again next year. So, in essence, I agree.
Yeah. I'm gonna table this and go back to him.
On these two? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
On the training and the,
Yep. The only other item is, so really in my mind, if he doesn't get another full-time, does he need the other training? That $3,000 in training?
Nope.
so we
So-
scratch that.
Does it make a difference since they have two full new mattresses coming on? Does he need the training
Yeah.
for that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask him, is
Yeah.
this for that new one that you're asking?
Okay.
So, I mean, do you really want me just to table his whole department until I get some more questions from him?
Be wise to do
Has two
so.
new mattresses.
That's correct.
So what's the difference in having two versus three for training? Is the question.
It sure would be nice, since we're getting requests from the senator, get the senator to send us some funds.
Exactly.
Along with his request.
Because, I mean, they dictate how much that you've got to pay them, too. Okay? On voter registration, the only thing she's requesting is $3,000 increased on the election expense.
Just general increase.
Yeah, that's a
Nothing
no-brainer.
specific driving that.
No, she, yeah,
Does she go by the budget, or does she go by what she's supposed to do, and it costs whatever it costs?
yeah, I mean, cost what it's gonna cost.
That's it. Gas line.
So is it the same thing as a gas line item? I mean,
It's gonna, I mean, if,
We're gonna pay it regardless, right?
yeah, if they bill them.
I mean, because unless there's a specific thing that we know has gone up $3,000, it wasn't there last year, I don't know how we.
did she go over?
I don't think they went over on last year, but I'd have to check, I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, I don't want her to cut no corners, and I don't think she can. But if we're gonna have to pay it regardless,
Put it in there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this.
Who do that budget, Mr. Ernestine?
No, the new director, Ms. Henderson. Yep, leave the same.
All right.
So then on page 19, the only thing I've requested is a COLA increase for my peeps.
Yeah,
And
we
then
got
you- Yeah, and then you can see the last two items is talking about the solicitor and public defender, so I'll make myself a note here, it stays in our department.
How much is the COLA increase?
Whatever y'all will give,
That's, okay.
you must have
Okay.
got the email.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so then the next, assessor's office, yeah, the only thing she's requesting is and she always does just a 5%. Every year, she always just a 5%. Okay, on page 22, is everyone is aware that the treasurer's office is fully staffed now? We actually, Ms. Vaughn is going to go, she's transferring from the sheriff's office to the treasurer's office, so we'll have two strong bookkeepers back there in the back, and actually, she's coming in the door, she actually comes Wednesday, coming in the door, she's going to automatically take 3 of the accounts herself, because there's 3 of them is the sheriff's accounts. So she's already familiar with them, so coming in the door, she's going to transfer 3 of those accounts from the other girl, which is Vicky now. And then she's also going to continue, for right now, continue doing the sheriff's department, all the accounts in his office for him. So she's going to bring them with her for right now. So the long story short, with saying all that, we were requesting to take and fund her pretty much like a lateral salary, because she made more than what the current girl was making because, she done more. And I just think, she's a great asset to that department. And as y'all know, my dream is to get that treasurer's office back up and going. And I couldn't think of anybody else other than that one sitting right there, and she ain't going nowhere. that could get that department straight along with Vicky. So between them two, you know, I just think that would be a wonderful asset. So I'm requesting, so I won't have to decrease her salary if, council would approve for us to increase that.
I think it's a no-brainer to do that.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it's a necessity. My question is, if she's gonna be burdened with Cambo's accounts, then he should cover the difference out of his budget until he gets somebody else to take that load off of her.
But then she would be decreasing in the treasurer's office, is that right?
No, he should just compensate us.
Yeah,
Right.
You're not saying fund this. How am I trying to say it?
We should fund this, but we should back charge him for the difference as long as she's doing the extra work.
yeah. And see, we really won't go over budget that much with the current year in the treasurer's office because he's been so short-staffed, you know. But now Allison has been eating up some of that money because she's been coming in. But just to let y'all know, I mean, just this year, and I hadn't even totaled everything out. This is just through December. We've already had to pay an additional $42,000
That's what I'm saying.
to deal with. I mean, so,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this right here is nothing
Yeah.
compared to what, you know. And I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying over the last 4 years, it's been $100,000 at least.
Oh, she's the answer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, whenever she, you know, talked to me about it, the day that she told me that she would like to, you know, try to get that job, it was like a huge burden was lifted off my shoulders. Because that's been one of my biggest concerns right here lately is that office.
And the turnover that we're not gonna have.
No, he's not gonna find anybody.
She'll
Because,
stay up at night if she can't
Oh,
get
yeah.
the balance out. I mean, that's just how she.
yeah, when she come back from vacation, she was at the sheriff's office at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
She's,
I think, well, let's move forward on that money and then we can address the sheriff's office when we get there.
Michelle, well, just a quick backtrack. Last year, what COLA increase did we give you all?
okay, 40,000 and below got 7%, and above 40 got 4%.
Okay.
Trying to get those lower salaries.
We'll get to that part very shortly.
Okay, the building codes. The only thing he's requesting, of course, is a COLA increase, and he's also requesting for a new position of planning and zoning coordinator. And the salary and fringe for that would be $62,000. And this person would basically be covering any of, like, we're working on our subdivision ordinances, any of those ordinances going out, and like, just like, first thing I thought about was like some of these solar farms and stuff, you know, and then like the planning commission.
And I don't know, I'm not doubting that we need somebody, I'm just wondering, I don't know the answer to this, but do we have enough work for that person, or is there somehow we could collaboratively work with another entity, town, something, just to kind of lessen?
Well, what I've requested for him, you know, I said, this person, I would like to be for him to be cross-trained in that office, because he, just like right now, he's had one, the lady that sits up front, she's been out a couple of months. So we've been having to, you know, we got a floater person, and she's been going in there a lot. And then see, Pam's been sick. One day last week, there was only one person in there if I wouldn't have had that floater. So I've requested for this person right here to learn plan review, to back Derek up. Pam's job, because some of Pam's job, that none of them know, and then the front. So that was one of the winning points with me, was this person be cross-trained, because he suffered right here lately, and it has shown, you know, just show I mean, that's just a perfect example why you need people cross-trained.
As critical as I am about everybody's fine print and their job titles and being productive, I think he has been greatly overworked, especially they're down, that county employee that totaled one of our trucks recently too. And looking at it from a budgeting perspective, that's really the only department that's cash flow positive. 'Cause I think they just got a check for 1.3 million, for that latest solar project permit. So, I mean, I think that.
And I even talked to Derek, you know, I asked him to entertain the idea of them, I'm not saying, you know, get them fully a building inspector, but can you not, you know, maybe like specialize in like electricity or something, you know, and then they could cover.
I think we need a have somebody who's not just looking at plans, but understands planning, so that when we have growth and if anything needs to be looked at or we need to.
Yep, and that's a lot of what I think he's got planned for this.
Yeah, I think, I don't, I'm not saying that that's not important, and I do, you're exactly right, that is a cash flow positive right there. We could definitely justify using the money.
If we can lower his stress level in the process.
Yeah, if we could lower the stress level, we might get to keep it. Put it like that.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
because, I mean, Derek could retire, you know?
He could, well, not only that, but he's in a position where he can literally drive, west instead of east and probably make 20 grand on top of what he's already doing. And I think he's loyal to us, but I do think
Yeah.
that he is.
His heart's here. I mean, because he was approached by Florence County about a year ago, and he turned them down.
You know, I think if we can take some load off of him, I think that's probably the right decision.
I agree.
So are y'all okay with,
With the right person, right?
okay,
The right setup.
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so then, building maintenance, I can come back to that one. Okay, so then IT, he would like like other departments, a COLA increase. And he pretty much, if you'll notice, this one right here, he's cut his salary, cut his, not his salary, goodness gracious, he'll kill me. He cut his budget $17,000 this year. Yes. Because he looked at, just like the first one, $10,000, he looked at his computers, and the way he's got them set up, he's got it all set up where they'll cycle out at the right time. And so he said that he really doesn't need that right now. So, what he said, y'all can take it out. And then just like, once again, ARPA played in with this, and he said, did you know, on the compliance, he said, y'all really could decrease that $7,000 because ARPA money really helped with that more than I thought it would. And the only thing he's requesting is just $1,500 for the emails because he's got new email requests. So just $1,500 is pretty much the only thing he's requesting in there other than the COLA increase.
Sounds like the best request so far.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, I was impressed. Yeah, I mean, now, I have to say, some departments don't really have anything. They're down to their bare minimum.
Right.
But he looked at his and he recognized that I don't have to have this much right now, So he was, because some of them's got a mentality, if I give it back to them, I'm never going to get it back.
Right.
Oh, there's a couple departments that I've heard have made that comment since
Yep.
the email was sent out.
Yep.
That we were trying to cut where we could, and there's a couple departments that have made the comment that if we don't use it or ask for it, we're gonna lose it and ain't never gonna get it back.
Which is not true. Okay,
We will absolutely get what we need.
right.
Anything above that is what gets called into question.
Okay, the sheriff's department. They're requesting for a $5,000 increase per each employee. Not a percentage, just a straight $5,000.
They did that last year, didn't they?
Yes, they done that last year. And he's also requesting on the uniform and equipment, $16,263.43 to cover half of a body cam grant. And then,
Now, explain that a little better
Yeah.
for those that are
Is that
listening.
matching money or what?
yes, see, the body cams, you have to match. Even the bulletproof vests work the same way. So if it's, $20,000 and they want you to match it 10 to 10, 50 to 50%. So they're asking for 16 to cover half of the body cam. Now, they usually get this grant, this is the only thing that I'm kind of confused on. They usually get this every year or every other year, and we've been matching it before. So in a way, I feel like, in the money already there because we've been getting these grants for several years now. So that's the only thing the first thing I thought about.
So in other words, you see it as they're asking for a $22,200 line item increase that we're already.
Yeah, because this isn't new, because we've gotten the body cam and the vest grants for years. So I don't know if maybe something else is, I don't know if, if they've increased it for something else and they need, both of it, I don't know.
Wonder what the value of the other, because I think there are only 4 grants every year. Wonder what the value actually is, because if this is 2 of them, we're paying a full-time person to write grants, and this is only $22,000.
Well, you got the SRO, and then he'll write, I know he writes other grants, but a lot of them, just like he wrote for the last 2 years, he's written one for the coroner's office, and they were denied. But he's written several for the sheriff's office. There was the overtime, the DPS, they have an overtime protection, overtime speed. I think the protection got denied this past year. Of course, the SROs, they wrote it, and then he went in and done a modification to get a 10th and staff member for the SROs included. I was trying to think what other ones that I know that he wrote and got denied. He wrote one for KIP last year for a generator, I think. But yeah, I mean, we don't have as many as we used to.
I think we need some more information on those two, as far as the.
Yeah, where were we funding it last time?
Correct. That's the question I'd like to answer.
Do we have a comparison on I looked at the $5,000, that's $192 pay period for 26 weeks. That's a substantial increase. Do we have a comparison between Marlboro County and Chesterfield County on deputy salaries?
I haven't looked at them in the last year, but I know the last couple years, the Marlboro County, even the towns in Chesterfield County, we were right there. At one time, we were a little bit higher than some of the cities because I remember Tim got phone calls from a couple of town policemen that, we were making it hard on them.
When Sheriff Dix was sheriff, I know that you all as a council agreed to give them that major increase, but they're asking for it again now.
Yeah.
That's a lot in a short time frame.
Next line item here.
The animal control, they're requesting $2,500 for equipment upgrades.
Any particular need, or they just want an increase?
Just, I guess, cost increase.
Have they run through that 25? I mean, that was their budget last year, 20, right? Did they run through it early?
Do you remember if they are, where are they at on their budget right now? And then while she's looking that up, I'll go over, once again, they're asking for us to fund the $25,000 out of the general fund versus, how they've been taking it out of there. And I did point that out, and it's pretty close. And the only thing that they have been taking out of that is the BI monitoring invoices. They haven't been, and the current salaries that they've gotten funded out of, that's the only thing that they have been taken out. Just like for right now, last year let's see, make sure I'm in the right year. The monitoring was like $29,000, and then the salary reimbursement was like $35,000. So far this year, it's $23,000 for the BI monitoring invoices, and so far it's $21,000. And what I've got is the average expenses for the BI monitoring is like $31,000, and the estimated payroll expenses for the salary is like $34,000. And it's running right at $70,000. So it's close.
Animal control has 42% of their budget remaining.
So they got almost half.
So why do they need the increase?
You got 3 months left.
Well, that was as of February.
As
the
of
end
February.
What does that come down to in dollars and cents?
$8,369.22.
For 3 months? That's what we got left. For 3 months. So $8,700, no, $2,700. $2,700 a month.
So that $2,500 is a request for equipment.
And they got 43.
I think they got enough to cover that, don't you?
No.
All right, so we'll scratch that.
Okay.
Everybody's good with that?
I didn't hear what you said.
They have, well, how many dollars? They got 43% of their budget left for the remainder of this year. So that should be enough to cover that increase they were looking for.
Mo, can you give us a little time to look at that salary though? At $5,000?
Yeah, we'll look at that whenever we look at all the other. Usually, that's one of the latter things that we'll look at is the salaries, once we get all these other expenditures worked out.
Okay.
But anyway, going back to the home detention, you know, so,
Spence is, fixing to have those adjoining counties' numbers.
okay,
He said that he thinks that, that Anson, Marlboro, and Darlington have exceeded us just a little bit, but he's fixing to give us the exact numbers now. I think we're just playing, tennis. I think we get over them, they get over us, and we get over them.
We have to be competitive so they don't leave one county and go to another.
That's exactly
That's
right.
why you want to do that.
okay, the other item is, they're requesting 2 new deputy slots for the south end coverage, which would be around $133,000. I asked Chad to run me a report of how many calls that was, you know, in the out of town, out of McBee. In the, you know, basically around Hartsville, Bethune, Society Hill, Patrick, you know, down that side of that area. So roughly, well, we had 717 that was in the town of McBee, and that could have been assisting, you know, the town of McBee. But then you had like 2,241 that was out of the town limits. So, you know, I was kind of wanted to get y'all an idea of just how many that was having to be covered in that area.
I think Eddie might speak on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that. I've been keeping up with the calls and the volume and all that, and the end that's killing us is down there around Cedar Creek area, Overflow Road, John Clark Dirt Roads, and we're getting a bunch of influx from Darlington County that's coming over with, you know, stolen goods and drug activities, and it's just taking the officers so long to get from where they're located from to get to these calls. From my understanding, from the sheriff and from Spence, chief deputy, that it's been a long time since this area has had a designated officer in this area. They're having to, I mean, it's just by call. And also, just to let you know that, you know, I did do some research that there's some patriots like Brown's RV, McLeod Farm, Cali Metals, that's paying for security in this area so that there is some protection in that area. And I don't think that's been done anywhere else in the county. So being that it is my district, I would love to see, you know, the finance committee look at this real hard, being that the constituents in that area, you know, they're begging and pleading for service, for law service out there. Now, I have asked, and I know this has been a concern for a long time, are we heavy somewhere else and we can use officers from somewhere else in the office, outside the office, resource officers. From what I'm being told, and I can only go off what I am told, is there's nowhere to take or grab people from. That everybody's being utilized to the best to their ability. So I would love for this finance committee to please look at this real hard and try to come up with some good ideas, and to if not two, at least one. We'll work with what we can work with, but I would love to see the two.
Eddie, I got a couple concerns. I've been conversating about this as well. I think we got a lot of different things going on, and I know that area has been being hit with a bunch of theft and things. I think that from everything you said is true, but I also believe that adding these spots on, particularly for that area, is probably a little bit of a false sense of security, because what's going to end up happening is two shifts will get a extra person theoretically for that would originally be dedicated to that area, but it's going to be just like any other time. They're not just going to be hanging out down there, waiting on something. They're going to end up working in some of these other parts of the county and probably not going to get the outcome that the intended outcome. They're just going to get pulled, and it's just going to be an extra person, which I don't disagree with. They could use an extra person, but the other side of that is I've specifically told Spence and Cambo that it's hard to come and ask finance for more slots anywhere when they have at least one employee that they can't tell you what their job is. And I've expressed that to them, and, it's just a political sticking point, I guess, that, it frustrates me that it's one thing to give somebody a job for political reasons, but I can't see giving them a check for political reasons without having to perform a job. And, that's my take on it. But the other thing is the town of it's my understanding that the town of McBee is also becoming a huge issue as well. And if I'm misquoting, I'll take my words back, and just what's being described to me is that the town of McBee is working 2 and 3 people per shift during the daytime to write tickets, and then not having officers working at night to cover calls. And that's turning into the sheriff's office basically having to go down there and cover calls because they're worried more about revenue from tickets. And that's an issue. I mean, they were funding some spots before for the sheriff's office to cover, and I just don't think they're being good stewards of our relationship if that's what's going on. I think it's an issue, and the sheriff's office did just pick up another spot. I think that the spot that David Lee had is now the school district took on that spot, and so it opened up one opening in the sheriff's office budget, and I think that's what they just hired another investigator with, which I think is needed. But it's just hard for me to justify giving more spots when they know they just got one, and they got one that they could have doing a job, but they don't, and refuse to make a change.
Well, I don't mind sitting down. I don't know McBee's history. I mean, I know their history, but I don't know their configuration of what their officers do and don't. I try to stay out of that politics. But I don't mind sitting down with them if that is a problem, and seeing what we can come up with. together.
Yep.
But, and I understand the frustration of, you know, the spot that nobody knows what the employee does. I'm not aware of that, but, I just don't want, I'm getting hit, you know, from the constituents pretty hard that there is no protection and they pay for it, as well as everybody else in the county. I understand that there is open areas of the counties at all times of the night, and day, but, you know, not to have one officer in that area designated, I think we're doing the people in that area injustice service. But that's just me. I would love to be able to find, for you guys to be able to find the ability to do it. And I would appreciate every bit of the help that you could be to make it happen. But just let it know that there is no coverage in that area except when a call goes out. So.
Gotcha. Would you think it'd be a good idea for us to kind of table this portion of that and see if there can be a meeting or something lined up between you and the town of McBee to see if there is a concern there? Maybe you could discuss with the sheriff's office what the concern is there. I think there's been some communication between the two, and also try to get a game plan on what we can all do together instead of us just throwing something at it. I agree that, we need to provide services. We just need to do it all together.
Oh yeah, I don't mind at all, and I'd appreciate that if we could, and I'll update everybody as soon as I can. As far as, and if anybody wants to sit in on the meeting, I encourage all or whoever to be able to participate, to come to it. But I'll make that phone call today and line something up. But I do want to emphasize that, I'm, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, I'm getting hit more outside of the county, outside of the McBee town limits for this request than I am inside.
That's right. If you're good with that, we'll table that portion on our side, and then we can try to run some of this other stuff down and at least have a conversation so we know what's what.
Send us an email on the meeting, 'cause I would love to attend.
All right, so we're going to table the 2 new slots until we have that meeting. Now, let's go back to them requesting the county to fund the $25,000 for housing the warrants. That was the item we talked about before. We never made a decision on that. I don't really see a need to change what we're doing now.
I'm in agreement.
All right, scratch that, then moving right along. All right, we're going to come back to this one at the next, hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have some more information on the other. All right.
Now, on the detention center, they're also requesting $5,000 per employee. And then they're requesting an additional $2,000 for pest control. I am for that because of that report that we got. I would like to propose to, Rollins is our current vendor, and I would like to propose to them to actually go over there more than once a quarter like they've been doing on all of our other buildings. I want to propose, to get them to start going more. So I would appreciate it if y'all would approve that, most definitely. I think it's in our best interest.
I do too.
Okay.
I think other than a dollar amount, that needs to be done regardless of cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the building and grounds, they're requesting $11,500 for upkeep maintenance and those storage containers mostly. They was talking about this, you know, when I'm talking about the storage containers that for the inmate possessions and stuff.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. And once again, that's a spinoff from that report that we got.
Yeah.
And then they're requesting for the state prisoner pay, the $1,500, to be transferred into their building and grounds. Because we haven't had, and evidently they're not looking to get any, you know, any state prisoners in a couple of years. So they would just like to transfer that over into their building and grounds. Y'all
And-
okay with that?
In addition to moving that
Yes, sir.
additional 11.5?
Either, I guess the question will be, do you want to do away with it, or do you be okay to transfer it over to building and grounds?
We just increased building
It's
grounds 11.5. I mean, do we?
So just 1,500 more.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the juvenile holding, I went in and increased it myself, 10,000, when Heather and I were talking about it. We increased it at $10,000 because of simply, it looks like they're gonna pass that again for the first 25 days, the $125, in addition to the 50, but they're requesting to do another $75,000. Now, my mind goes back to just like right now, I didn't have but $40,000 budgeted, and I'm having to pay it anyway. So gasoline, just like gasoline, you're gonna have to pay it anyway. But I do, you know, to make it more uniform, I did increase it, you know, wanted to increase it 35 because that was more logical. But another 75,000,
As long as y'all are aware that that's gonna fluctuate depending on what we have, and y'all can accommodate for it, I don't see a reason to adjust the line item a lot, just to, as long as we know.
Just in case, yeah.
yeah. What I always try to keep in mind, and Heather and I have talked about, you know, we want to get our line items where they're kind of uniform, and if you know that they've got to be increased, you know, increase it, but nothing, you know, what I was talking to her about, you know, 1 year you may have, just like right now, these juvenile holders, it's going to go way over. But next year, that's not, pray to God, that's not going to be the scenario. So she knows when she looks at it that it's going to be way over this year, but, you know, next year, if we just increase it just a little bit, simply because of inflation.
Does DJJ send us a bill once a month? Any idea what our bill is about per month for the last 3 months?
Was it about like 29? I'm thinking 29,000. It was really high. I think that one month it was like $29,000, and that was whenever all 7 of them were at the $125 a day.
Yeah.
In addition to the 50.
So $30,000 a month, just in juvenile housing.
Yeah. But now, it's gonna drop though after 25 days, the $125 will drop after that. Then it'll just be a straight $50. So I was hoping that by then seeing it on the Friday report this year, I was hoping that they would, you know, back off of that and decrease it, but it's not looking too good. It's looking like they're gonna leave it.
Whatever y'all feel comfortable with on that.
So,
Whatever
I
your
mean,
recommendation is.
we think 35,000 will suffice.
Sounds good.
Now, they're also requesting 2 new slots, a maintenance personnel and a transport. The maintenance roughly $62,000 salary and fringe, and the transport like $64,000.
As far
Now,
as
that
Benny and them-
maintenance would be a full-time maintenance personnel that stays there, so Benny and them would not go over there anymore, unless it's something with HVAC, if they're not HVAC certified. I thought about that.
So how much of their building maintenance budget has been being billed out over to Benny's side because of Benny and them having to be up? I mean, Benny and them spend half of their time
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, I wouldn't say they spend half of their time, but their morning, every morning, they start out by going and clean out that trap. That's every single morning. That's their first thing they do, is go over and clean up that trap.
So how much?
Just
of it-
like right now, I was on the phone with Kevin when we took our break because it was talking about Kip's morgue, and he told me that they got a unit froze up over there at the detention center. So they're gonna have to, but they have to visit there, I mean, every week, a couple of times a week. And then usually whenever they go over there, it takes more than just here I am and gone within an hour. They're there for a couple hours.
So they had in-house maintenance, no one have to go over there.
No, sir. that person would be solely for that department.
I think with the condition of the, I mean, as bad as I hate to, with the condition of the jail situation and how much time we're taking away from Benny and them, that they could be doing something else, for just going over there doing the little small stuff. Would this person be able to utilize a couple trustees to do some interior stuff if we need painting done or things like that they could
Yeah.
facilitate some of that?
And see, I think that's, and they, tell me if I'm wrong with this, I think that's some of the issues right now is because they don't really have enough staff to sit there and, because you gotta stay with them. So if you've got an inmate working on something, you gotta have somebody pretty much staying there with them.
Oh, yeah.
So if that happened, then they could put them inmates to painting or doing stuff or something on the outside, you know, any kind of maintenance, and they would sit there and, you know, man them. Yes, sir.
Wouldn't you want to put this under building maintenance instead of it being under the sheriff? So it would be an employee that we would have?
Oh, yeah, it would be in the detention center.
I know, but
Yeah.
who is supervising that employee?
Oh, it would be, Troy, it would be up under, I mean, because he'll, or whoever the admin is, it would, because that's who they'll be over, because the sheriff's not gonna be over there.
Right.
I think when we talked about it in the past, we talked about putting it under Benny with the expectation that you would, so just so that it's under admin control and that person could float if they are needed.
Oh, yeah, we can budget it in Benny's department, but, you know, Troy would, I would think that Troy would oversee it because he would be over there.
Do you
But we
see
could
any advantage to either way, kind of like what Coleman's saying is, let's take that off the detention center line item on the detention center budget and put it on building maintenance?
Where the first thing that pops in my mind to keep do it, because at that given time, then I've gotten, you know, Heather and I've got more control over it, because if you put it in there, then what's to say that they may eventually one time try to use it for something else, another person, you know?
So we need to scratch it off of this.
Yeah.
And if we in agreement that it's a need, then we can transfer that request
Yes.
over to building.
Just like the solicitor, we got, you know, a solicitor's personnel in our department, but they're actually work for the solicitor's office.
Well, the versatility you give that individual, keeping them
Mm-hmm.
under administrative control. I mean, if you have somebody there every day, as much as they're there almost weekly, it's kind of like you get caught up, you work yourself out of a job a lot of weeks. There's probably plenty of other things they could be doing elsewhere,
yeah.
if they're under your side,
Yeah,
not his.
but if we got it in the building maintenance, then it never can be mistakenly transferred to another position there.
All right.
So are y'all okay with that slot?
I am.
I think we have to.
And I like it under
Okay. Okay.
your watch.
Let me make myself a note here. Now, what about the transport?
I mean, what, like,
I mean-
where is that a shortfall? Because I think they're using the bailiffs and stuff to do some of that stuff already.
Well, and have they not already got two transport? You got, Craig,
You got
Dixon,
CL and,
Dixon, and,
Lou Allen.
yeah, and Lou Allen. So we already got two in there.
I mean, unless they come back with a definite, reason why they have to have them.
A third.
Okay.
Hey, guys, this is Eddie. I got to step off. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie.
I'm gonna put in here the table it right now, and I'll ask, you know, to give me more of a reason.
Oh, here's what I've been waiting on now.
Okay.
Okay, so the next page is page 28, and this is the coroner's office. And of course, they're requesting for a COLA increase for their employees. And then he also would like a full-time deputy coroner, which would be around $49,000, and also a full-time or part-time admin staff, maximum of the maximum pay would be $51,930 if full-time chosen. This admin staff would be housed pretty much at that location and would do administrative duties. Because I think in the past, and you can speak up, in the past, I think they've actually had someone come and there'd be nobody there to answer any questions, get paperwork and stuff.
Yes, ma'am, because whenever we get a call, both of us respond, because more and more it
And in the past, we've never really had the opportunity or really had the setup to accomplish this.
We were having the sheriff's office, that was had receptions at the front there to catch when we were out.
And see, right now, every call that comes in, they have it transferred to their phone.
Right. You can call the coroner's office anytime. If nobody's at the office, it automatically switches to either me or John. The secretary worked from what, 8 to 5?
Well, he's asking for part-time or full-time, whatever.
Right, I mean, we really, I don't know why the mornings seem to be more of an issue than the afternoons do. Not always. Coroner's office is not a 9 to 5 place. Right. But we feel that during the business hours, at least the mornings we go that way, if folks wanted to schedule, we could say, we know we always have somebody in the office from, what time does Kennedy start, 8:30 in the morning?
8:30,
From 8:30 to 12. We know somebody's always gonna be there 5 days a week from that, part-time standpoint, from that respect.
And if you've done like 10, I was sitting here trying to add it up real fast, like 10 to 2, that would be like 25 hours. And if you've done a part-time person, you know, and then I don't think you'd have to offer insurance to them, because it'd be 25.
At that 10 to 2 time, there's
With-
a lot of folks that wanna come, they're on lunch to come talk to us. They've made requests.
So I was, yeah. So that's what I was thinking, if y'all went to write a part-time.
You know, I don't know if you remember, John said that part-time person, because of the things we deal with,
Ah,
an admin person's gonna have to deal with things in the coroner's office they don't have to deal with in another office.
yeah.
Right.
I guess, I mean, and you're here, I guess I know I could see some scenes that there would be the need for 2 people to go to it. And, if we disagree, I'm good with that too. But, you know, I can only go back and think, you know, with Highway Patrol, when they're working, fatalities and things like that, they're having to notify sometimes and deal with the wreck, investigate the wreck and all that too. And there's really only one of those, and I know that might not be apples to apples. So,
I understand what you're saying on that, but there are a lot of times that I go through the notification with the supervisor, and John stays at the scene with the officer once the scene.
that's right. And on those, I can definitely, understand the need for 2.
If there is, with Highway Patrol, if there is a fatality,
Yeah,
there's always one Highway Patrol at that scene.
yeah. So,
There are some singular ones, but more and more we're finding that both of us respond.
oh, I'm not saying that you don't respond, I'm just saying in general, I think we can, I think it could be grown to, it could bloom into anything, and more's better, but I guess when you're in a position like we are right now, knowing that we're having to really make some big decisions on cuts, it's just hard for me to justify this one more than some of the other cuts that we're looking at.
And the other part of that, is that our office has to have coverage 365 days a year. Right. There are 2 of us full-time doing that. I know there's funding for part-time, but more and more we're finding out that with the obligations that our part-timers have, it's not always convenient to have a part-timer in. And our part-timers have to have pretty much the same training and certification that our full-timers have to have to meet the requirements of
He's got,
the deputy coroner.
he's got one.
So, so that's the reason we're asking for that.
So as far as on your, to get your facility to where it is fully operational, what were you needing there?
Backup generating power, and to finish out the unit there framed up and finished out, and the cooler operation. It would be best if we could also get an impermeable surface, at least in what I call what's they call the processing room.
The one being subjected to the most liquids.
Yes, sir. Would be, is where we're on that. Dollar-wise, I would yield to Mr. Newton and Benny to tell you, because construction, I don't know the construction world. Right.
What-
See how we're,
There is, when they came over there this past couple of weeks to work on that, the funds that came because of FEMA,
ARPA.
the ARPA funds, I think, Michelle, you told us there's roughly $8,000 left in that for us to finish to do that. And what we're, and the generator and all those other things are probably gonna run over that 8,000. So we're doing cooler, the prep room, to where we can use it in the viewing area before we finish out the rest. We're just gonna leave the rest unfinished, to try and get at least functional.
Yeah.
The one reason I want a cooler functional as quickly as possible is currently my old one sits at 50 degrees.
Yep.
We have two bodies. Luckily, we have a wonderful, wonderful working relationship with the funeral homes in this county. And one of those funeral homes currently is letting us use their cooler. So, that's sort of where we are right now. That's the reason we want to have it up and running as soon as possible. Because Mr. Lowry has told me, and he's maybe expressed this to you, Michelle, is the old one we have right now is
It's on his last leg.
I
So
guess-
that's another, we need
I
to,
guess my question is, if we could help you get everything, I mean, I can't see funding more people and not having a functional building that we've already got there. So my question is, if we could help get you some one-time money to get you fully operational with the building that you have right now, would that be priority over more help right now?
I don't know that I can place one over the other, because both are essential. Both are essential in my mind.
If you had to pick?
You can't pick. You're having one versus the other, and you still at a loss.
It's hard to operate without the equipment and the facility.
It's also hard to operate. The body's not going to move itself. Right.
How many part-time deputy coroners do you have right now?
We have,
you got Brian,
Brian
and you got,
and Craig. Craig is not at full strength because he's going through medical issues right now. We just, one of our other part-time deputies, which was Cody Chavis, is had become a resident of Marlboro County, and we're losing him to the Marlboro County Fire Department.
so right now, currently Brian is having to fill the role of the admin and not being able to transport that much.
Right. And our transport, we, at every point, try to get John to go. Our backup to that is using off-duty deputy. He cannot interfere with their sheriff's responsibility, but we're using that. And then as a last resort, we're using a bonded and certified transport service.
I'd like to see us try to find the funding to get the generator and everything up. immediately.
I'm hoping to be able to get the generator on opioid money, because that's how we were able to get the cooler. And I've spoke to Karen about it, to see if we could get that added in,
That-
see if that will be out.
Also, I'm not, this is, I know you cannot guarantee this, but we have also requested, of our legislative delegation, earmark money that is available this year. It got cut last year, but we went right back and asked for it again this year,
Yeah.
which would be sufficient to hopefully do what we need to do.
This is just my personal opinion. I would be more inclined to going ahead and taking some money and getting them a generator. If either find where we have some money, opioid or whatever we got to do to get them fully functional. And I would punt on the employee side right now. And we may disagree, and that's okay, but that's just my personal
I agree.
opinion.
I think the backup generator is probably more vital, in my opinion.
And so far, our game plan is just, because whenever we were over there last week looking at when they were first gonna start, I said, let's take it room per room and see how far our funds are gonna stretch, instead of just going, but it was more cost effectively just to go ahead and do all the electrical and plumbing, in which actually some of the electrical Benny had left over from the voter registration, so that, was just pretty much a wash.
I mean, if we took $25,000, I mean, I know what the generator's gonna cost. Generator's gonna cost you about $13,000. So if we took $25,000, would that finish it?
Again, I'm gonna yield to somebody that does construction better than I do.
You wanna get with Derek and
See if that'll cover it.
Derek and Benny and see if that'll cover it? I'd be in favor of something like that.
Me too.
What size generator are we thinking that would be suffice for that? And because
22 kW.
because I wanted to look on state contracting also too. Okay. Okay.
My question with that, maybe educate me, please, that would take care of both of those buildings?
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't need two, you would need one generator, and you would just wire it to both of them, so if that generator kicked on, it would be operating both of those
What's the
facilities.
square footage of those two buildings? Gotta take that into place. What square footage, do you know?
I can't remember what the,
Unless it's on three-phase power, which it's not,
Okay.
the input coming in off the transformer, it does not exceed the 22 kW, so.
It'll cover both buildings.
It'll cover both buildings.
Good, all right. That'll work then.
so if we go to, page 40, that's the library funding. She didn't request any increase, but I just wanted to let you know that the state library is looking at increasing their funding this year, $50,000 more, which would be no extra cost to us. And what she would do is she would go in and increase her state aid, line items. So if that does, I'll let you know if that does pass. And like I said, it'll be a washed revenue and expenditure. We just wanted to update you on that. On economic development, the next page.
Okay.
They're wanted to concentrate on the industries a little bit more and try to do a little bit more. And they were wanting to request an extra $2,000 increase just in case, because they said it was kind of hard this past year getting donations from the different entities.
Why would we have to do it on our general fund side if they have
Economic development.
economic development money coming in from the industries?
Quite a bit of it.
I mean, if they, the food that they get, what I just thought about, the food that they get, they could take and pay for that out of economic development monies.
Let them do that then.
Okay?
So basically, that would put everything at just the cost of living. Right?
On what now?
So basically, on economic development side, the only thing we would be looking at is cost of living along with everybody
Yes, that's
else.
correct, that's correct, sorry. Okay, so on page 43, this is our restrictive departments. The road department, like I said, I've got an estimation of generating roughly like $200 more thousand, and that's just gonna be a rough estimation, because you don't know how many of these, which they're gonna have to pay on the road side, because in order to get their sticker and all, so I think that will be good. But like on those solid waste and stuff, curious of them coming in and paying that on that other side. But they, on the road department, the first thing is requesting a roughly $8,000 overtime pay. This is coming in from this past year, we've lost like 2 employees, and we've lost a real good one to the rural water. And this has been some of the heartburn the last couple of years, the employees saying that when they're on call, that they don't really get any benefit from being on call. So I asked Lynn to get some numbers and see what rural water and like Lynch's River and Sand Hill, different ones they actually done. And so this would basically be, if I was on call this weekend, I would get an additional $105. If I got called out, I would get the overtime pay. You need to take,
Yeah. Can we take 5?
you can take,
Bathroom break?
yep, take a break.
All right,
Yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Cody, you ready?
Okay, so going back to the road department, so like I said, we've lost a couple employees, and my fear is to lose more. And because that is a hard thing to stomach, to know that you're gonna be on call all weekend and not get any kind of benefits from it. And then I had also thought about this after I created this budget. If y'all approve to do the road department, I'd like for you to approve to do the same thing in Benny's department, because they do the same thing. They are on call. But this is just a rough estimate, you know, and how I come about this was just doing it 13 pay periods, half of a year. You know, because they won't go out. I done the $105 for 26 payrolls, but them going out every single weekend, that doesn't happen. But, so that's what we were requesting, is to pay them the $105 for being on call that weekend. And then if they go out, they would get overtime. But now, if it's actually the week where you've got a holiday, they won't get overtime for that day. They'd have to actually physically work 40 hours. So that's the first item that, you know, that they were requesting. And like I said, if y'all approve that for the road department, I also would like to do the same thing for building maintenance.
I'm glad we already talked about the coroner's office, because he's probably back there saying, we on call every day.
Yeah. But see, him and John, him and John, their salary, so it doesn't matter. We got them. And see,
That's the reason I asked you to change John your salary instead of hourly, because we could afford
yeah, and see, now this wouldn't, Benny's on salary, so he could get the $105, but he cannot get no overtime.
So what would it cost us?
I'm estimating $8,000, no more than $8,000.
For the year.
Yeah, and see, well, I would do it just like
Just
we've
for that
got
department.
the sheriff's office set up. We've got a line item that says overtime.
I mean, if a man
Well-
can't sit at home on the weekend and drink beer because he's on call, he needs to be paid for it.
Yeah.
That's just,
And 52 weeks
Reality.
times
Well,
105,
and you know the,
5460.
I mean, and we've
Just for
lost
105.
one of our mechanics. So are y'all okay with approving that?
We're gonna do the 105 for this route. and
if the
Benny's.
105
Yes,
is
sir.
comparable to,
So that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's
Well-
not, you know,
I mean, as long as it's comparable to what everybody else is
yeah, and
doing. Now, is that taxable or is that per diem?
no, that's taxable. So
Okay.
what, yeah. It'll go in, it'll be an additional line item on their side, but it'd be netted in with their gross, which would be tax come off of it. Which you've got to do that, you know?
There's no way to classify that as, non-taxable per diem for being on call?
I can check the IRS guidelines and see. If we can do it, if we can code it that way, we could do it that way.
It'd be nice to try to help them out a little bit.
Okay, let me make myself a
That's the
note.
problem with overtime. You get tax, it puts you in a different tax bracket a lot of times, and you don't even get the benefit of it.
Well, you're getting 100, but you're really getting 70 because they're gonna tax 30.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the next one is a new personnel for a bush cutter. Roughly $54,000. They've got the machine, but
What page are we on?
43.
on page 43. But from the way Lynn described it and talked, she said they're pretty much like 2 years behind on being able to get all the county cut. And that's where they were going down the road, the dirt roads to cut it. They had been trying to subsidize, and they would take their scrapers and kind of go up on the bank some, but I think that's hurt them some. And I can tell you, I'm like Eugene Woodard Road, I think Eugene Woodard Road or whatever, when I went with her and met one of the citizens, we noticed that where they had went up and they actually had cut too much. And it causes drain, you know, runoff, and it will fill their tilings up, and so it's done more harm than helpful.
So how many bush cutter operators do we have on staff
We
now?
got 2.
Have they been cutting bushes, 40 hours a week? I ain't seen them.
Yeah. But they've got 2.
So what,
I'm pretty sure.
so
I
what,
don't want to overspeak myself.
1/3.
I'm just thinking in my mind that they 2 years behind, I would have probably seen them at some point in my travels. If
Yes.
they'd been bush cutting.
I wanted to make sure I didn't quote it wrong, but yeah, they got 2.
For the county.
I'd like to know,
And then also, and I put this in, and you know, she said also they cut all the landfills, you know, and they go up to the industrial park, they cut those. Like, I want to make sure I mention that it's not just the, you know, the dirt roads, that they do go up there. And during the summer, it's more of a factor, you know, during the summertime, going and doing the landfill and the the industrial parks.
do we move money from economic development side from doing that work at the industrial park over to compensate for that? Should we be doing that?
We could.
And these bush cutters, they cut the whole county, highways and everything.
No,
No, that's state, yeah, it's just dirt roads.
Oh, just.
just the
Yes,
county
sir.
maintained roads. Is there a way that we could partially fund that bush cutter operator through, some of the economic development money for them keeping up the industrial park?
Yeah. I could set up, you know, a line item for a transfer.
I mean, 'cause
I could,
that side is pretty flush.
I can get with Lynn and just and ask her, you know, for an estimated amount of how much time.
What industrial park are you talking about?
They do, Pageland, and they do down here at Carolina Center, and they do Aldo. Yeah, they have.
We don't own any of those.
We do?
We don't.
Carolina Center, we don't.
No, but we keep.
We own
it-
Alligator?
No, but we do, Pageland, and that's an agreement that they maintain them for.
Okay.
Go check into that.
Yeah, we'll just table that and check into it and also see, I'd like to know what the last 12 months, hour usages have been on our bush cutters, machines themselves.
What's the next line item there?
Okay, so we're gonna table this. Okay, requestment to replace a arm on one of the bush cutters, and I had asked for a dollar amount, they hadn't got back with me. And like I was talking to her, I think the, one of the last ones we ended up getting was around $45,000. But I said, like, I don't have a dollar amount on that. So we can table that until I can get a dollar amount on it.
All right.
And then they were requesting to purchase a trailer to haul equipment on, because right now, they said that they're utilizing, is it the one for the loader? They're pretty much using it about every day. And they're not being able to put another one of their pieces of equipment on there.
Why ain't we utilizing the low boy
So,
that we paid so much money for?
yeah. But that would be, she said that would be their least, you know, demand and request that they were wanting.
I mean, not unless they got some great need for it. I just,
We've already got another way that just might not be quite as convenient to move stuff.
Yeah.
well, when you keeping up a tractor trailer sitting there with a $50,000 lowboy trailer and a $140,000 truck just sitting there, it's hard to justify buying another $25,000 trailer.
To deny.
So they just looking for an
And then, yeah,
increase.
Victims Advocate, just that increase.
If we do have to replace a bush cutter arm and if we do get to that point, that would come out of capital equipment.
Well, we'd have to have it in, yeah, the budget, in that millage. That would have, and you'll hear me say in just a second, you know, that would actually go in, eat into some of the growth that I've got budgeted in. And on the Victims Advocate on page 44, they were requesting, it actually printed on the next page, they were requesting the county to cover the shortfall in this department where the money's coming in the victim advocate funding, and they're having to try to get it out of the sheriff's office currently. Because what money, as you can see, I've had to do a carryover from the sheriff's budget for $32,000. I've got budgeted, for this upcoming year because the money that comes in annually isn't enough to cover it. And I've been speaking to Judge Davis and Spence about it, you know, trying to figure out, which I've been asking for the last several years, why is that department, not department, why is that fund, you know, going down? You know, where's the money going? Well, I have found out that some of the fines that at the magistrate's office is being dropped and they're just doing restitution. And, you know, Spence said that, you know, because he actually was at some of the hearings whenever he heard it. And so they're dropping all the fines and just letting the people do restitution. I had talked to Judge Davis, you know, and expressed him the importance about, you know, what's going on that I've been faced with the last several years. But now he is participating in the settlement debt, and that'll start coming in next fiscal year. Now, whether or not, you know, if we get any money on it, that's just based off of, you know, if people, you know, doing their state taxes, us getting the money from that. So that's not a guarantee that we're gonna get money. But he is trying to work on that.
So basically, they're covering $32,000 dollars of that salary and fringe off of theirs, and they're wanting to start covering 27,000 instead of 32, basically.
Yeah.
So instead of us giving them 40, they want us to give them 45.
Cause it's roughly, about 38,000. Well, 46, about 32. But if it continues to go down, you know, it's gonna be more and more every year if they don't figure out what's going on. I mean, the victims advocate services haven't decreased. That's why I can't get anybody to tell me.
Right.
Exactly why is it going down the last several years?
And that money specifically comes from fees and fines?
From victims advocate, any, you know, any cases that she works on. You know, I know some goes to, I'm sure, doesn't some go to the state and some's retained at the county, just like the clerk of court and the magistrate fines.
I mean,
Well, how they've been doing it so far is like if there's any, just say for instance, they had a deputy that left and they had left the cushion money sitting there, we would take it from there. And we'd have to do a transfer from the sheriff's office salaries to the victim's advocate.
what's your recommendation?
Yeah. My only concern is, and Heather she might could speak on this too, but, it's been tough this year because they've been pretty much filling their slots pretty fast. And how many months are you behind?
So back to October, we still have only received part of October. So we have October, November, December, January, and February that they owe.
That they what?
They
Owe money.
See, the money's just not there.
So what do we need to do?
Yeah, I mean, personally, at this point, I mean, I hate to do it, but at this point, because we have to have a victim's advocate officer.
Right.
So at this point, I say that, you know, yeah, it needs to be funded. Now, I don't know if you want to, I don't recommend putting money in the sheriff's office salaries. If we're gonna do any, you know, we could take and set up a line item in the general fund for victims advocate, and it be that own department, you see what I'm saying? And fund it that way.
Right.
Don't commingle it within the sheriff's office money.
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me.
Because, I mean, I've been faced with this, you know, the last several years, and now Heather, that's one of her biggest heartburns is she can't get it, you know, she keeps telling me, and it's worried her, she says, Michelle, you know, they don't have the money to give it to me, and I'm behind on it.
Okay.
guess we'll get to see, how many departments will spend every dime that they have here at the very end on stuff they really don't need, or how many of them's gonna relinquish a little bit back to us if they don't really need it.
Yeah, well, the cool thing about it is, we got our monthly reports every month, so that'll show.
Yeah. I think historically, it's been easy to spot that the last 30 days have been a little bit more exorbitant spending than the other 11 months.
And we ought to send out a note reminding them not to do that.
You'll get a response.
Convenience
Okay, on the
centers.
convenience centers on page 46, she's requesting for us to go ahead and just delete that uniform line item.
Okay?
That the only thing she's really purchased in the past is just like T-shirts and stuff. So she said that, that's some of what they could do without. So she's asking for, us to decrease that. And then she's requesting a new slot for a trash truck operator. She has the, roll-off machine, but, or truck, she's requesting to get another driver.
Now, is that contingent upon us handling the C and D stuff like we just talked about in the council meeting?
I think that is a factor in that.
Yeah.
And, but then also, I think some of it is where they were leaning more towards before this ever come into place, because Lynn said that she said, Michelle, she said, they're just staying, they're moving every, all day long. And she said, really, she said, we could utilize, because I think she's using some of her personnel, that one of the CTC guys is using him some on that. But she said, it would help. Because she said, once they come in on Monday mornings, they just take off and go, and they're just keeping.
I'd like to know how much it means to her. I mean, if we do go a different route with the C and D stuff, I'd like to know what her opinion is whether she really needs that or not, if we do go a different route.
Yeah. And I mean, I will tell you this, she liked that idea. She said that would made sense, to put a central one somewhere for the C and D. And, but she did like that idea. She said that she hadn't thought about that. And then she was receptive to that.
I mean, I think it would be my position to, let's table it and let you have that discussion to see.
Okay. All righty, now, here's the big one. Capital equipment. Now, we got the sheriff's fleet coming up. Let me get my notes out here. It's time to replace them, and we'll have the first payment next year. And then also we got to think of, which that will be in the next year after that is the motor graders. That's another big thing, but right now, let's just concentrate for this meeting, let's just concentrate on the sheriff's fleet. They proposed to me 34 new cars. And it was basically covering 14 deputies and then 8 security and investigators, 4 of each, 7 what we would consider other sheriff vehicles, and then 5 would be the first sergeants and Spence. So they're proposing 34 cars, and it would be roughly around $1.8 million. Well, that payment would be, I talked to our bond attorney to get a estimate on what the interest would be, and that would generate roughly around a little over $600,000 payment. So I said, well, I went back to him and I said, what can you do without? What have you got? What in your mind, if I come to you and I said, okay, Jerry, I want you to cut it, where would you cut it? You tell me where you've got to have them. So this is my recommendation.
Okay.
Which would be 29 cars at the most, 14 deputy cars, and then the first sergeants and Spence. So that's 19 pretty much road cars. And then the investigators, 4 of them. And then 2 security versus the other ones, because at all given time, you're not gonna have every one of those security you're not gonna have them transporting. So I said 2 would be suffice, if on a given day they had 2 versus 4. And then if you wanted to carry that even another step further, when we were talking about vehicles, would those need to be really take-home vehicles? Could they not stay here? So
New
that-
vehicles.
Yeah, so that, you think about that. And then instead of 7 of the, what we call the other shares, do 4 versus all, so you basically cutting 4, yeah. 5 vehicles at the most.
Total 29, right?
Yep. Now, that would generate roughly around 1.5, which would be what I've got built in on this budget,
Okay.
about a $510,000 payment. And then we would then, with the current millage that we have, that would generate roughly around $186,000 more that would be for growth, for the motor graders or anything in the next next year or so, or that, like you were talking about that arm, that would, if we went this way, then that would, give us a little bit money for that growth. Or, I mean, you can go down lower than that. In my mind, the most important ones is those road deputies. And because, I mean, that's when we first started talking about it, that was his biggest concern, was the road deputies and the investigators. He said that the investigators had been lacking.
Who was the 4 others?
The 4, okay, so that would be left up for him. This is who they would be choosing from. The sheriff, Tubbs, Anderson, Lewis, Clarence, Jerry, and Brad. That's the 7.
Sheriff, Tubbs, Anderson,
Lewis, Clarence, Jerry, and Brad. That's the 7 that he had.
And these are all new vehicles? The old ones, what is?
And they're looking at, and of course, their state contract, and this is upfitting and all. It's not just the vehicles, it's the cost of the vehicles and the upfitting. But it's Durangos and F-150s is what they're actually looking at. The deputies would be in Durangos
How often do we change this out?
every 3 years. A couple years ago, we done 4 years, and that was not a good thing.
And this 29 number, just for perspective, it is much greater. That is the most cars that's ever been bought at one time.
Because don't forget, you got 5 that we already got on ARPA, okay?
So we already got 5
Yes, sir.
brand new ones.
Yes, sir.
So that'll actually be 34 brand new ones.
This is basically close to accomplishing what they were trying to accomplish with the enterprise. This would be usually whenever we do the leases, because just to give you information on the previous leases, we would only do like $830,000 total is the total cost of the loan, not the payment, which would be roughly around $300,000 for the payment. So this would be pretty much doubling, more than doubling, what this would be getting them, they would have no complaints is what I'm saying. And which Jerry told me, he said, anything that y'all can do, I will be greatly appreciated. He said anything. But I think in the very beginning, when we first started having conversations, his biggest concerns was those, the deputies and the investigation, because the investigations, he said, has been lacking for the last, they've been overlooked. And then they've taken the SROs out, so they're talking to the school district about trying to give some money on the SROs. And even they, and they're saying that they were gonna talk to Jefferson about trying to, fund some.
The school district do have the money.
I guess from my perspective, let's just say, if you didn't count the 4 others, that's still 25 vehicles plus the 5 we've already bought and paid for that are brand new being utilized now, that's 30. So if we would already be replacing 30 vehicles, out of them 30, there's got to be 4 out of them 30 that they already driving that.
Yep.
In good shape.
In good enough shape that some of these other folks that's not responding to calls and doing all that, I mean.
That's my thing. What if we did the 19 and the 4?
Yep.
And then let's rotate through and see what we can replace The ones we can't, let's see if we can limp it through till next year.
And if you done away with those 4 other, they're, I've got it broken down, they cost roughly around $50,000. So you're cutting out 250 there,
Well, the I'm
If
talking
you
about
done away with
19th
them.
Road and the 4 investigators. If we stayed with just those.
just the 19.
I think the security, because I had some detailed conversation with Spence about the security.
Right.
I think there is some concern there because they have to do transports, like long-distance transports. And I think they're concerned about having a couple vehicles there that are up to snuff.
That's right.
And that was the explanation he gave me.
That's reasonable.
I thought that was reasonable too.
And that's why, they did have 4 in there, and I said, well, if I could, you could fight for at least 2 of them, half of what they're asking.
Total be 25.
21.
21.
No, hold on.
19.
Yeah, be 25.
25
total.
plus the
Plus the 5 we've already got.
Yeah.
30.
So we're basically looking at just taking away those 4 other.
Right.
19, 4, and 2.
Like he said, out of
healthy
19.
And honestly, I think, he'll be, anything, Jerry has been wonderful to work with. To be honest with y'all, this is the first one that since day one, and I worked with several of them over all these years, and he's been wonderful to work with. He has come in and he's just been appreciative, and when he's talked to us, he's put in a lot of hours in this. So, he won't complain at anything I come back with,
Yes,
unless I come back with nothing,
What happens to the
They have
vehicle they
needs.
got?
Needs are what they need.
Exactly.
We sell them
We would turn around and sell them. What we didn't use,
of the 19.
Because it's just like I told him, I said, you can at least get another one of all the ones that you're gonna sell. You can actually gain at least another vehicle, and they've got almost enough money in the wrecked vehicle account to get another one. I think it's like $20-something thousand that they've got. So they possibly, between selling all they could gain 2 right there, so there's 2 of them.
They get the money from the sale.
Yeah,
well, they don't,
they get,
we can allow them to have the money from the sale.
yeah,
But that don't mean that they're guaranteed the money.
no. Because it's capital, because any of these items that you ever hear as surplus, it goes back into the capital equipment fund.
But most of the time, it makes sense that if you liquidate 4 or 5 to try to help them get one more.
Makes sense.
The other thing, and I've even spoke to Spence about this as well, there's some take-home cars that need to be discussed. It's totally their decision on them making that decision. But I believe that they need some encouragement that, historically, anytime there was a change in vehicles, getting newer vehicles, and they would always be 1 or 2 spots that didn't have a take-home car. They'd be like, let me get that used one, let me get that used one. So now you end up with other people who really shouldn't qualify for a take-home vehicle that get take-home vehicles. And so I feel like when we get these new cars, it's gonna be the same way. I believe that we should encourage them, that the people who don't need take-home vehicles, that we can't justify it, that they don't have take-home vehicles. And if you need office vehicles like we have over here for the assessor's office and things like that, you need a vehicle or 2 sitting at the sheriff's office for those employees that if they need to take a vehicle to go do something for official business, that's one
Yeah,
thing.
just prime example, economic development, existing industry. She's not taking that, we've made a change there, she's not taking it. Now, if something was to happen and like in the morning, she's got to go to a conference in Columbia, I told her, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with, driving home. But day to day, don't, not driving at home. Animal shelter, they don't take that one home. They hadn't, whenever we brought the new director in, we never offered for her to take that one home.
I agree.
So that's some of what, we're looking at, stuff like that.
Your officer don't need to
And-
take the vehicle home.
And I can, talk to Jerry and have the conversation with him and Spence, this is what we're looking at. In exchange, you look at your department and see which one of these actually, because if you can save us some money on gas and wear and tear, then we're looking at more about helping you more. So that's how I can, educate it, or,
Well, and there's some take-home cars, and they gonna hate me for it. There's some take-home cars that's going on at that jail that have absolutely no business with take-home cars. And
Whenever Tim had it, and, I mean, even after the sheriff, and this has happened the last couple of years, we only used to have just two, that's when it was Gillespie and Teal. And it's grown, I think the ones that's now is the ones that's on call. And that's how, you know, that's the other ones that's taking it home. That's where other vehicles have been gained, just like you said, you know, because then we only had them two vehicles, well, now they got all them other ones over there.
well, it's just like at the animal shelter, she don't take that vehicle home, but I can't really justify having an administrator vehicle sitting over there in front of the building when they have a transport van that if they need to go to Tractor Supply or if they need to go somewhere, they got a transport van over there that they can use. So I can't justify funding and keeping that vehicle in that department. My position, we need to take that vehicle and surplus it, is what I think we should do. And along with a lot of other the vehicles, I think we should go through every department and identify those and say, you know what, I'm sorry, but we got to
Cut back.
we got to cut. I mean, if we're gonna have to spend this money to do this jail, we got to cut everywhere we can cut. I don't wanna cut anybody's salary, I want to look after the employees, but they either gonna have to have a frill or have it on their paycheck. That's just how I view it.
Can't have both.
But you know, but as you've seen, you know, this capital equipment, the equipment's getting more and more expensive. And that's why I was wanting to accomplish to try to get a growth line item in there to help us, where we won't have to increase, you know, hopefully don't have to increase millage too much one year or not even at all, you know, so. But I'm trying, okay, so the only other thing I'm trying to see, just wanted to give y'all a heads up on the town of Patrick. She may cut out her contract with, I don't know if she's got waste manager or whoever, and if she does, then, if she canceled it, then those would go over to $38 versus the in-town rate. So that will be more money. And then, you know, as you know, Bay Springs fire fee is gonna go from 60 to 80, and Chesterfield fire fee is gonna have to go from 75 to 85. Because I've looked, the last couple years, and they should be about down to enough partials that they won't have any more to combine, but they've been combining some, so that's the main reason for that.
I'm glad you brought up that fire fee. Been brought to my attention that there's been a good bit of publicity, talking about the leniency and one-sidedness of our rule changes in accounting for the fire department budgets. And, I think it's very misleading that when we receive, annual reports, including 12-month bank statements, that is available publicly, there's nothing else that we can do besides spending money for audits to address those, and I think it's by far sufficient.
And when, you know, since we've made this change, Heather has went through, whenever, you know, January rolled around, and that's whenever they were supposed to be, and she made sure that everybody has submitted theirs.
That's right.
And her and Coleman, you know, they looked at them.
That's right. So it has been addressed. It is as detailed as we can make it, without being, overly expensive for auditing, and it is available for everybody to see that we are being accountable for the money we collect on behalf of the fire departments. Also, are we 100% positive that the public hearings and everybody's had their chance to say whatever they wanted to say about the Bay Springs?
I know with Bay Springs, that's happened. I don't know if Chesterfield, or we're supposed to do it with Chesterfield, but I was at Bay Springs.
Well, Chesterfield's our contract,
Okay.
yeah.
So can we put that on as an agenda item to have that discussion for anybody that wants to come?
We're gonna do the Bay Springs as a separate ordinance.
Okay.
So we'll have a separate public hearing for that.
I like that.
So now, Coleman, have you received, because they hadn't sent me any of the sign-in sheets? Were they?
No, they haven't sent it in yet,
Okay,
but,
so that's what I'm missing is, because I always get the copy of their minutes, their sign-in sheets, where at the meetings they discussed it, and the meetings that they passed it, and then at the public hearing, I always get that, and I hadn't gotten that from them, but I got this out of the paper.
Yeah. Well, for the ones that believe that we need to go to a countywide paid fire service, they need to run the numbers on it. because they're getting a bargain for what it's costing for fire service right now, and, they need to be mindful of what they're asking for.
I won't be the 40 if we go the other way.
Won't.
If y'all will make a note, because like I said, I've got 4% COLA increase incorporated in this. If you'll just make yourself a note, just so you'll know about how much of 1%, because you can go back or you can go add whatever.
Is there a page on here with that?
No, I just got this written in my notes, but if y'all will make a note, a 1% COLA increase with salary and fringe is roughly $207,000. So
For every-
if you
for every
wanted.
1%.
Exactly, so if you wanted.
200 what?
207,000.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, if you said, Michelle, I don't want to do but just a 300, then you would take $207,000 off of this.
You get that. So if we do a 4%, then it'd be 4 times 207, so it'd be 828. That's how much the revenue increase, that's how much it would cost us to do a 4% across the board, be $828,000.
So I just wanted to throw that at y'all, because
Let
that's
me ask you
easy,
this.
it's easier to go, to look at, if you get it down to your 1%.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, we didn't have a millage increase last year. We're not having one this year. We do 4% COLA, do we have enough revenue coming in to cover that?
Yeah, and right now, because the 4% is built in this, and what I always like to do is I like to look at my reserve transfer. I always like to keep it around 1.2. And right now, if you look on just page 1.
Page 1 of the yellow.
Yes, sir, if you look down 3 line items down where you see $983,000, pretty much right now, if we pass this, right now, it would be with the 4% COLA increase. I'm okay with that. I usually like to keep that number close to around 1.2 because it's, yes. So what I'm saying is, we could not easily, but y'all wouldn't hear a bunch of heartburn from me if y'all had to increase this, about $400,000 or $500,000. But now if it got much over that, I'm like, y'all kind of, we don't want to eat up all of our reserve transfer.
So have any of y'all tallied up the increases off to the side that we've changes that we've discussed so far?
I hadn't done that.
What
That
I
was-
like to see, Smallwood, I like to see the net income, proposed income, the net expenditure, then with no surplus.
And that's what the second draft will be, is it'll be,
We'll have that.
she'll take everything that we discussed here and she'll put it in this format and have all those numbers plugged in, and she'll be able to tell us our expected revenue is this is what our expected expenditure, our budgeted expenditures would be, and give us a idea.
And then the variables we
It's just-
discussed today that we didn't finalize, we'll have those numbers and we can apply or deny.
So I'll build from this. So anything that y'all tabled, you'll see that in red again next month.
All right, that cover everything?
Yep, that's everything.
Any questions, comments? Everybody good for next time? As soon as we get through here, we'll go ahead and
I
schedule
want to
our
ask
next
a
meeting.
question after
Sure.
we close.
Okay.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain.
We
a-
got to approve everything, because all the changes that y'all made, everything that you approved, denied, and tabled, I need a motion and a second. So we do it all at one time.
I make a motion that everything that we have discussed so far, that y'all have documented, that we move forward for the second draft with what we've discussed. And for the second draft, I'd like to have the answers for the questions that we tabled.
Mr.
So
Chairman.
we have a
I second
motion
that.
and we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Motion carries.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McClendon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. We are adjourned.